Today on Mob Rules,
we talk about shiny gold armor.
and I'm back.
Hey.
We talk about John being back, and we also talk about the Sisters of Battle, the
Sob.
SOBs.
And I'm back.
You're back.
Yay!
And I certainly don't hijack the first part of the show for like an hour.
All that and just a little bit else.
On
the
Mob
Mob
Rules.
Blow on it. Blow on it, John. Blow on it.
I'm just gonna continue my little summer vacation, my early spring break. Hey, welcome to Mob Rules, episode 70. Yeah, because I missed 69. Though ironically, have still been in 70. Boom, mini Christmas episode. Remember,
70 episodes, right?
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he was saying he just recently did a grandma or something.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I did. I did like a little
Might have missed
fake
69.
episode. Like I just released like a little 30-second clip. Like, guys, I'm still here. Guys, okay. All right. Bye. Take jokes.
This.
No, I didn't do that one. That sounds like way too much work for me.
I don't know. Sounds like fun.
I'm John, joined as always by,
Most often than
not by Ted, and recently by
Dave. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going?
It's going real good. How you doing,
right.
guys? Well, a long time no see.
Yeah, you
feels
still
like
have
it.
hair.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, I skipped out last time because stupid life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Happens.
And then we had a couple delays this week.
Yep.
So this is like
Good life.
5 minutes to midnight recording session.
This is going to be another late night release, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah,
/
that's
Friday.
okay.
But
I think
we could just end the
happens.
episode here. You'll be finished real quick.
we have
But
like
I still have to edit. That's the problem.
All
These
right.
don't just like show up on the internet.
what do you mean we don't just stop talking and then you go away and hit 2 buttons and then done?
Yeah.
My entire worldview is shattered.
I don't know anything about the technical side of this, so as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what happens. Like,
Oh,
as soon
no.
as I walk out the door, we're
It's done.
It's done.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
Just
Poor
get-
Ted has
it's
to
just-
sit and listen to it several times.
Oh, Dave, stop mouthing the mic.
He said stop, don't start. But yeah, what have you guys been up to? Well, what's been going on in the world of Dave Ted? Ted Dave?
Let's start with Dave.
Yeah, what's been going on, Dave?
I feel like I've kind of fallen back off the hobby wagon a little bit. Like I
good.
kind of got burnt out.
Really?
Kind of.
Did you say oh good?
I don't know what he's supposed to say. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
Yeah.
really bitter about those two Marines being super close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you noticed your place in this world and
Yeah.
decided to step out of a man's hobby.
This is nuts. Gotta
Ted's too
go
good.
back
It's so
to
close.
knitting where I can win awards.
I enjoy that we have the what have you been up to, Dave? Well, I haven't really hobbies much. We said about good. Fuck you.
All right, on to somebody more interesting.
I've been working on doing a little bit of behind the scenes stuff for the video series for the Mob Rules that I'm doing. The that I'm calling tabletop.
Tactics. That's already taken. Try again.
Tabletop.
Dave's Toolbox? Oh, okay.
Question mark?
All right.
Yeah, and I've decided that I need to buy a different camera, so I'm going to go do that.
Okay.
Oh.
One with a mic import?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I went out and did that as well, and then I didn't do anything with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping
Soon.
You
TM.
can have
No,
John's.
No, I have plans.
Oh yeah,
Such grandiose plans.
the camera that I bought, amazing for stuff at like
Yeah.
mid-range distance,
Okay.
but up close, it's got a fisheye, so it just kind of goes all right and distorted. It's like shit.
Okay.
So, I've entered into another challenge with a bunch of people on Twitter. We are painting up the Space Marine Legion, the second Legion that was destroyed, purged, if you will, by Space Wolves back in the day, as the Legion of Daves, apparently.
Really? You found a bunch of other Daves to go on it?
It was all Daves, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, probably destroyed because of lack of imagination.
Right?
He names like 18 legions, and then he's like, "Which this one? Dave's." Fuck,
They all died in a firebombing
They were all
on
named-
Dave's bar on
They were all
Planet
named
Dave, the third.
We have the worst color scheme. It's kind of a fluorescent light blue with also hot pink.
Well, Dave's
the
could
weirdest
also
color.
stand for like direct assault veterans extreme.
Nope.
Scrotums.
Dave.
Barely certain it stands for middle-aged guys. That's why Hemper was like, "What is this?
I mean, Jesus
what
Christ.
is this fat out of shape middle-aged guys over here?"
That's generally what Games Workshop stands for.
Right. So
Do you remember that like there was like controversy several years ago? I think it was like 16 years ago. But it was like I think there was like this there was a Native American high school. I mean, it was like mostly Native American students. It was like right outside of Res, and they were protesting like the Redskins like mascots and like all the like the Native American mascots. So they started a basketball team called the Fighting Whiteys, and it was like they're
Right, for real, I would buy their sweater.
Seriously,
too, yeah.
their shirts were selling like hotcakes. Like all these like like these conservative talk shows were like Fighting Whiteys, and like people started flooding them and like buying their shirts, and like it totally backfired on them. But I just and they're like I think their logo or their like mascot was like this bald white guy, kind of like Notre Dame kind of look. Like
I actually
the Dukes
remember
up.
that.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. Like that could be like your logo, bald white guy.
Yeah, perfect.
The Daves.
It's actually a giant pink D. So.
Or maybe it's just like maybe do like two little hairs that get combed over the top.
It's like Homer Simpson style.
Yeah,
nice.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of this with a bunch of commission painters somehow.
Oh, cool.
So
man.
I'm like stressing about it even worse than when I was losing to you and painting color quarter schemes.
Oh yeah. There you go. Okay, that's not the
Oh man,
how I envisioned
beautiful.
It, remembered it.
We have our beautiful couch assistant Nate.
Yeah,
who showed us the symbol of the
Nick.
fighting. Showed us the Fighting Whiteys logo, and I think that would make a great name.
Looks
for
more like a
cereal
mullet and a trucker hat than a.
It's very white.
Yeah, it looks good.
And ironically red.
Did you find like a shopping or like a sales site? Could
Oh
you
yeah,
buy
can
it?
we
No?
buy that?
You just have to download it up and print it yourself.
We're just gonna have to order transfers, like printable transfer paper, and we'll make our own.
We'll make it.
Wow,
We'll make it. That's good.
And I've been building some skeletons. Not very many.
Oh man, that doesn't sound like 40K talk.
No. They're
Scenery
multi-purpose.
Scenery skeletons,
Scenery
standing
skeletons,
guardsmen.
Yeah. It's for a diorama I'm doing where
You play an hour and a half game of
Right.
another system.
yeah. It's a moving diorama. It's good stuff. That's about it for me. What about you, Ted?
Oh, what? I didn't see that coming.
Oh,
He did that subtle head whip.
Lots of painting. It's been a blast. But I'm also last night I spent till midnight trying to catch up on my algebra because I'd taken like way too long, like painting Custodes for videos and everything. I was working on. I got the new Skaven for Shadespire, so I've been working on that. I showed you guys
Those are
earlier.
rad. Yeah. You brought the leader guy, right?
Yeah,
That's super
Spitclaw
cool.
or whatever his name is.
Those dwarfs are amazing as well in the Shadespire.
Did you pick them up?
No,
okay.
I need to.
I went back and forth on those, like whether or not, because they're like, oh man, I could paint these up a lot easier than Skaven, but I don't know. It's like
The
I like
dwarves
Skaven.
have like the #1 asshole card in the entire game.
Really? What does it do?
Called Earthquake.
Oh yeah.
Where you play it, every model on the board shifts 1 hex in the same direction.
Oh,
so if you save
interesting.
that to your very last ploy and your very last play, if you have someone holding a bunch of objectives,
Shit. Boop. Oh, that's hot.
you move them all.
After
Or
all
you
their
position all of your guys
Oh, right.
so they're right behind the objective, so you push everyone off and you won.
no.
And I'm like, oh, that's the trolliest card I think I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad.
Oh wow.
And I won it.
I need to. I'm gonna have to pick them both up, but I won't paint them.
Yeah.
I'll just throw them in
Okay.
my pile of shame.
You're just gonna throw the models away, keep the cards.
Yeah.
So I played 3 games with the Custodes.
Oh yeah, how do they do?
Holy shit. Okay. Now I haven't been playing. Okay, I love my friends, but they're not exactly like top tier like gamers. It's not Danny. But they have performed ridiculously well, like just absolutely ridiculously well. Like I went in with I had like all the stuff I've kind of been like slowly hodgepodging for the last like I don't know, was it a year and a half, 2 years, or whatever. And then like threw in a couple new things, like I got all these new bikes, I'll try those. And so it's been like what I have, and then thankfully I have some of those Forge World units, and they have the experimental rules for the tank and are 2 of the tanks, one of which I have, and then like the 2 dreadnoughts, one of which I have. So I got to play with those, and I was like, gosh guys, I want to use experimental stuff. Do you mind? In the first game, like the tank really did. I used my MVP. But dude, it was, and I was like, man, this is like almost broken. But then, like the next 2 games, it was like not even like part of the dialogue. I'm like, yeah, there's a tank over there. It put a couple wounds on you, and then, but it was like, I think it was Micah, my buddy Micah. The first game, like I had done the God Strike teleport. Like I think it was like 5 guys with spears in his back line, and he had like Strachan. He was doing like a bunch of Lehman Russes and a few dudes, and then like I think it was Strachan, and I sniped him. And like, oh crap, there goes the game. And he also had like Celestine, and I pretty much wiped him down to Celestine's second like iteration, and I had like half my army still, and then he was like, I'm done. Like, all right. He was like, dude, don't even bother with those like sword and board guys. Like they're overpriced. Like just don't bother. Like just get a ton of those spear guys. But they look
so cool.
They do, but. Yeah, and then I had like just a generic captain, and then like the second game, so that was 1,500 points, and I played 1750 against Tyler, and he kind of had like relatively the same list, except he was also doing Space Wolves as well. So it was like a lot of Lehman Russes, then Space Wolves, and like I learned really quickly, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like load up on all those spear guys. So I got 9 of them plus like my captain like teleporting in the back, and just like, no, he didn't have the captain up there, but he's just like obliterated like all these like intercessors and the Hellblasters and stuff like that. It was disgusting. And then so I tabled him.
Oh, Jesus.
Who was this?
That was Tyler. And so, like, man, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I had fun. And I'm like, oh man, I feel bad. So, and then I played a third game against the Artemis, and he was doing Black Templars. And that was, again, like another one of those, like, so we went up to 2,000 points. And in this case, for 250 points, I can use Valoris. And, like, like last minute, like trying to do, like, my psychology homework and then, like, try to, like, work in games and stuff like that. Like, all right, I'll just throw him in there and I'll use him in as my God Strike formation. And that way I could also go from being a patrol and having, like, 4 total, like, CP to a battalion for, like, a full 6, right? Drop them in there, and they just like God, what did I think I brought them behind his leader. He had like Hellbrick and like an apothecary and a ancient, and just like I had like the worst shooting, but then I ran in and just like ripped him up in hand to hand. And then I think at one point he's like, drop my what are the jump pack guys with the interceptors.
The Inceptors.
So he drops those in with like the plasma guns. He's like, I got you. Like, here's I can shoot out of sequence at -1 by ballistic skill. All right, 9 spear dudes firing at you at -1 AP and 2 damage each. Okay, those guys are gone. Like, I should have seen that coming, shouldn't I? Yeah, probably. and then I think like every step along the way, like I tabled him by the end of turn 2. And I had only lost 2 guys, 2 regular shield dudes or spear dudes, and I lost 2 bikes because I blew up his Land Raider too close to me. It was so bad.
Small victories like that.
Yeah. Custodes OP, please nerf.
Oh my god. I mean, it's just like I'm right now. I'm kind of enjoying it to some degree, but I know that like if it keeps up like this, I'm like, I gotta not use these guys. Like that's just like if you buy an army and you win because of it.
I mean. Or alternatively, you could stop going seal clubbing. You could
they're good guys.
I mean, they're all good guys. But like you said, I mean, Dardamus is a great guy, but his dice hate him. I've seen that.
His dice were on fire. But
were
I
they?
think it was a strategy that wasn't sound.
Oh, that is not better, Ted. You're just
well, he said it. I mean, he was straight up like, no, I shouldn't have, because he had all his HQ, like, there was a big gap right behind his HQ and he knew I was God striking in, and he's like, as soon as he put it down, he's like, yeah, I just fucked up, didn't I? I was like, yeah.
It's okay though. Let me show you the error of your ways.
So I don't know, like it is nice to like play with a force that's only like 12 models. There's something to that.
Yeah.
And I typically don't like elite armies. Generally, like you go in there, they're really expensive, and they get shot by las guns, and then they're gone. And then it's just sad.
Everything wounds on 6s.
Yeah, but I think like this, they did a really good job of like balancing it with you have like a fuck ton of attacks. You have like a crowd, like your shots are solid. Like when they're hitting on 2s, and dude, you throw Valoris, he's making everybody reroll any 1 they have. Like it's solid.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
On top of that, they're kind of. I mean, the models are sexy looking. So it's. I mean, except for those stupid Terminators. They just look dumb to me. But
I think like the naked head ones I don't like. If you put the helmet on, I like them a lot.
I mean, I really love the shoulder pads and the general aesthetic. Like they do look like just bulkier, more ornate Custodes. But yeah, bareheaded. None of them should be bareheaded.
Yeah.
It's person preference too in that there.
Yeah, they're all kind of like shaved head and ball, no facial hair or anything like that. And then you see is it Valoris? Trajan Valoris, the new model who's got like the big, most interesting man in the world beard. And so it's just
is he the guy with the lion cloak?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I just want the shoulder pad from that.
The way like his head is, it almost looks like, because there's this thing it's like a, I don't know, like a little armor plate or something goes on the back of their neck, but if you look at it just right and don't really like see it, because you're like, there's all that shit on the back of his armor, it almost looks like he has a man bun. It's kind of like flapping his, I think I could paint it like that.
You should. Yeah.
Just green stuff it up the rest of the way and give him a man
Lord Phileas Hall.
Love you, Phil.
You have to put some cargo pockets on his legs though if you're gonna make that work.
Oh, okay.
Golden cargo
shorts.
pockets. Yeah. The best way to deal with armor.
Oh man, that guy. I'm like, I didn't really like the idea of like a 250 point character like running around, but he made it happen. Like just being able to reroll all the ones, like he was dope. He just brought it in hand to hand too. 7 wounds. Ooh. And you can bring up to D3 of them back. Like,
or you could just make him attack again.
Oh yeah,
phase
there's
instead.
that too.
Yeah,
not that he needed it when he was running around with like 9 spear dudes. I actually didn't bring him into combat much. You wiped out another unit. All right, thanks guys.
You weren't running him around by himself.
You're just like, wait, I'm almost there. Please don't kill them. Oh,
motherfuckers.
On to the next unit. While your bikes are just running around like excitable puppies, just destroying everything.
Melt the missile! Yeah, it was good. So that was what I was been up to.
Yeah. Well,
how about you?
It's been a hot minute for me. Let's just say.
4 weeks worth of hobby.
4 weeks worth of hot minutes, and man, do I have like 2 weeks worth of stuff to talk about.
Snap.
So yeah, Nate and I ran the team tournament a few weeks ago out at Tier 1. We had 34 players show up.
Nice.
It was a good time for that.
And that was starting at 7 p.m. at night till 3 in the morning. And we had
3 in the morning.
Yeah, that's when me and Nate got out of there. Yeah,
I think I stopped by there like shortly, right about the time it was starting, and like looked right inside. Like, oh,
yeah. So there's like
anxiety attack right here.
Like, well, for me, so we had 34 players show up for the team tournament. So that's 17 teams. The same day, there was a ITC tournament that had 13 people show up there. So that's like in Alaska, close to 50 people for 2 events on one day, and that's huge. I'm like, okay, sweet, that's great. And then I've been writing Ultramar missions. After playing a couple video games, I got inspired. And
get it where you can, man.
There's going to be a escort mission now.
Grand Theft Ultramar.
Oh, like you have to pick up a prostitute, then boner, then like run over with your car and collect the experience points that she drops.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But no,
still featuring Pitbull though.
Yeah, it's going to be. So the mission's called Shoot the Messenger.
Okay.
Every team gets 1 NPC that, if they have a troop's choice beside it, walks along with it as part of the unit. But if the troop choice goes away, it starts to run away back towards your deployment zone. And the goal is to get your messenger into the enemy's deployment zone.
Oh, I hate that mission already.
Why?
Because I don't ever leave my deployment zone.
Yeah. Why? So I mean, and we're looking after playing, like, I played a ton of Age of Sigmar this month, and like reading the mission packets for that, like there's some missions where only like Lords of War and characters can hold objectives.
Oh, okay.
So I'm adding to change it up. So only fast attack choices can hold this objective. And I didn't take any fast attack. Well, the fuck.
God, you always you always fuck me when it comes to your Ultramar missions.
Well, for me though, I want to
remember that like
spend 6 command points. I don't have 6 command points. It's 1,500 points worth of Primaris.
Maybe you should have built
some
your
fast
list better.
attack. I don't have any fucking fast attack.
This is this like New Year's resolution thing that you like made. Like, had you not like said that on the podcast that you were gonna like win an Ultramar Cup, like John would have been like, all right, the only thing that scores are ancestors. And you're like, oh, I got this.
So like for me, it's like we're trying to help new players build their armies. So if I have a bunch of different missions where you have to have a varied force, then then that helps because people have to go buy a unit. If they read my mission pack, they're like, oh, well, you need a fast attack choice, and like, well, I run spearheads, but I guess I now have to go out and buy a attack bike. Then that's just cash to the store's pocket. New exciting models for you.
Wow, what's up, Kickback? Is that, no wonder you can afford all this new Age of Sigmar stuff.
Oh, wow.
My amazing new paycheck of 0 for running these events.
Gene just like slides the store credit under the table. Here you go, John.
Oh, man. No.
And here's a monster on me, too.
John gets... Oh, yeah. For the team tournament, I got 3 monsters. That was my payment for that, which is, well...
That's more than I got in the last month.
It was like 3 more than I deserved. But that's beside the point. Part of that team tournament as well, Nate and I brought armies, so if there was any buys, we could play through them. By round 3, we were super sad there was still a buy because I mean we had to play again because we brought terrible lists.
Okay.
Terrible.
Yeah.
What? Why did you play against one? Is that why you're helping?
No. So I played. I couldn't remember what time when that was.
18.
I played with Tyson.
Okay.
And we crafted a list. And I checked with Nate a good distance beforehand crafting the list because when you're crafting a list with Tyson, you have to you got to steer him one way or the other. Either just go nuts, build what you want, or do you want to try to win? If he says I want to win, then you have to shovel him into a winning list. Which
he's a good player. I don't know why
he is.
I don't know why you're saying that you have to like shovel him into something. If anything, like he should be shoveling you.
So, right. So
I mean, you're pretty.
You gotta lasso up and be dragged along for that ride.
Yeah.
So I brought 1,000 points of Hellblasters.
Okay.
And I had Tyson bring 1,000 points of Terminators. And I had checked with Nate beforehand about the null deploy.
Yeah.
Half your army has to deploy on the table, half not. And that Nate had said that my army counted as the half. So his Terminators could all deep strike in the back lines. So Nate came over and we were talking and he's like, oh, no. Half of Tyson's army has to deploy on the board. And I was like,
what?
So he's walking. Okay. He's got 5 units of Terminators. He's going to walk 3 of them across the board.
So here's the thing on that. And you didn't ask me, and I'm very offended by that. But
I think you were busy.
If you don't
treat Age of Sigmar.
If you don't treat... So in team tournament situation in 8th edition, it's so easy to abuse and so easy to fuck over people. So unless you treat like... And we decided that it was like, okay, the easiest way to do that is just 2 separate armies on the same side. I think my favorite thing about the tournament was how progressively less we cared about the missions as the night wore on. Like we threw an Ultramar mission in there and it was super cool and I really enjoyed the feedback I got in it, and we had a straight book mission and we're really cool. And
straight book mission was terrible.
And we had all this stuff. And then mission 3 we were like, kill points. And they're like, what's the secondary mission? We're like, kill points. Like, is there like Slay the Warlord? I'm like, literally just kill points. It's 1 a.m. right now. Let's wrap this fucker up and go.
Flip a coin, all right? Hurry up with that. Flip a coin.
Deploy your armies. Flip a coin. Whoever wins a toss.
I still got to masturbate, brush my teeth, and go to sleep.
Well, I mean, of course. That's
not necessarily in that
hygiene's
order.
important.
I mean,
at the same time.
Yeah, you can, it's just 2 different types of
You ever
strokes.
masturbated? Or brushing your teeth?
Natural whitening
Flipping
agent.
a coin? It's like rubbing your tummy and like patting your head at the same time. Except there's a chance of cleanup.
Might break something.
So I've been like writing Ultramar missions. I've been writing like really weird, bizarre, random sketches.
Oh yeah, that's right.
To the point where I've planned out camera shots and locations and things like that.
What?
I know, it's crazy, and I have to make a prop of a glowing hand. That's on one of them. Didn't read that script. Give me shit for not watching your intro. You didn't read my script.
I didn't read your script because I was asleep and I woke up and there was like 1,000 new messages. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? He's posting a script with, it's in like 18-inch font and also double space.
18-inch font. The messenger only has one.
I don't know how he did that.
It's like copy bits. I downloaded this app called Untitled, where you just kind of write it out like a you're really lazily telling a story to your friends, and it'll translate it into almost script form.
Okay.
Because I'll show you, Ted, like how you write it out compared to how it outputs is actually pretty smart.
I think it was like all the formatting and everything. Like when I used to write scripts for a TV show that never aired, it was kind of nice to do the formatting because like when I felt like I wanted to be productive, but it had like nothing to add to the script, like I was just like, oh, I gotta make sure the formatting looks nice. I'll change the descriptive on that. Like it felt like you were doing something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what I've been working on. And aside from that, like I said, I've been, oh man, neck deep into planning for Ursa, which is our big convention this year.
In another 12 months or something like that, right?
No, September. So
wow, it's
like 17 months.
7, 8.
What's that?
Oh yeah, 7, 8 months.
Yeah, that's not bad. Less than a baby.
Less than a baby, but man,
if Dave got pregnant now, he would not be birthed by that point.
But this baby needs attention.
Wait,
he's still finalizing
if I was
TOs in
pregnant,
advance.
so you mean
if you got pregnant now,
right?
It would not be born unless you got on the meth.
It would not be born. Okay,
right.
Sorry, I heard if Dave got pregnant now, he would not be birthed.
Well, I'm assuming that your baby would be a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way that's medically accurate.
Are you assuming my fictitious impossible to have baby's gender? You son of a
I've seen that documentary, Junior. It's possible.
It's hot.
We'd probably be twins.
Yeah, twin boys named Dave.
One would be Danny DeVito-esque, and one would be
Danny DeVito-esque.
They'd both be Danny DeVito-esque.
Did you see that? Like the
worst twins ever.
Did you see that recut of the what was it? The Shades of Grey with Danny DeVito as the. Did you see that? They took the dude and they just exchanged it with like various Danny DeVitos from like the fucking like Batman movie and like just like all these different like so just like super disgusting. It's great. Like
it's a penguin.
Yeah.
Oh, I also almost applied for that Warhammer Cafe job.
Oh really?
Literally, but
you'd have to move to freaking not here.
Grapevine, Texas.
Worth.
Jeez.
And that's why I didn't. Literally, because I'm like, I literally run a coffee shop. That is my job.
Yeah,
right now.
and you do nerd stuff.
And I do nerd stuff. So like literally, it checks all my boxes. But I'm like, for me, I'm like, I could apply, but I don't want to waste a recruiter's time for me to be like, well, if you could move me halfway across the country to Grapevine, Texas.
So our attorney's fees, and I have kids. Our attorney's fees is part of the perk.
Yeah, I have kids and custody and all that other kind of fun stuff. So it was like, I don't want to waste the time. It's like, I'm pretty sure I could get an interview for it.
I know.
But at the same time, I don't want to be like, yeah, so can you fly down and meet us? No. No.
Yeah, I think like every once in a while there's like a posting on there and like Phil forwards them to me. He's like, "Yo, check it out. There's like some video thing. Oh, there's like a graphic design thing." Like, Phil, I love you, but you don't have kids and you don't understand.
Yeah, and it's like, man, if only my kids were like five years older,
pick
6
up
years
and
older.
move. Yeah.
I know.
Like, cause like
I were younger.
Oh man, that's like dream job right there. Like, like running.
I mean, tentatively dream job. It could be an absolute nightmare, but
it's okay. So it's a coffee shop that runs tournaments. That's like
in Texas.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a dumb.
I mean, I don't know what part of Texas that is, but
it seems like it's outside
north towards Alabama.
It's like about an hour, I think, a half hour to an hour outside of Dallas.
Oh.
So it's not super far away. Grapevine,
Houston,
Texas,
or I don't know.
Dallas Fort Worth.
Texas. Any Texas listeners?
I researched this because I said, I legitimately consider doing it.
Oh wow.
But no, I think it's rad that's happening. Grapevine, Texas is like a super weird location.
Okay.
I mean, Dallas Fort Worth is like a huge hub, and if they must have done the research, the player base has to be there. But like,
it's not that they have to have the player base, but they're putting it kind of towards the middle of the United States. It's not. I mean, it's towards the south middle, but it's in the middle, which means it's traversable by almost everybody who wants to go to it.
I mean,
I'm surprised.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's easy to get to.
And what is it, Mississippi? Like, how close to Mississippi is it? Like, my geography sucks.
Because
that's like the hub, right?
No, their headquarters is in Memphis.
Oh,
U.S. headquarters is in Memphis.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but you can't actually go there and do stuff there, right?
No. Well, I mean, I think
they
was
just
a store.
Ship out.
Yeah, I don't know
from there.
I guess. But like I said, I'm surprised because like there's such a huge community in California.
Is there though?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. Anybody run anything there?
Like,
no,
I've never heard anything.
No, there's nobody over
tournaments?
there. There's no Bay Area Open or anything. I think
that's Bay Area Open is happening.
Yeah, I mean that's in Florida.
Frontline Gaming's out of New York.
Or Canada or something.
Endgame isn't a super popular store out there. There's not the majority of podcasts.
Hey, do you guys remember that time we used to get invited to go do stuff with Frontline Gaming and LVO and stuff like that?
Oh, you mean when Ted asks and puts herself out there and does all the work? Yeah, I remember that.
Well, it was right until this episode, actually, right up to episode 70 when we
Yeah, when we were cool. Now we're not.
No, we're old and bitter, collecting our podcast pensions.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But no, like I said, I think it's super cool. I thought about it and do that. Did a little bit of writing for that open Black Library submission thing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you said you were gonna do that. When is that? Does it have a date on it?
I don't think it has a date. If they're re-releasing Inferno magazine as like a little publication, and they're taking like constant open submissions.
Sweet. Dude, I hope it's like black and white newsprint, like paper type stuff.
That'd be
like
so rad. Yeah,
that'd be rad.
I want to personally cut down that tree or recycle that piece of toilet paper that makes that newspaper.
I want that. I would love to see that, like back like the old Infernos.
Yeah.
You know, where you just had like the front cover and the back cover had color pictures on it.
Oh yeah,
that was it,
yeah, and the inside is just words.
Just words.
Yeah, so
or drawings.
I'm writing on my working on my excerpt for my little heist story, which, like I said, I'm very excited about.
Gosh,
infiltrating a planet about to be exterminated as incoming hive fleet enters as well, and they have to go in and get something and leave.
I like it.
Little Deus Ex Machina. I don't know what it is they're going to get. What do they call that in film again? Like there's like a MacGuffin.
MacGuffin device, yeah.
They're going to go get a MacGuffin. What is it? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Banana. It's a special banana.
Special banana.
It's important.
Yeah.
And then as a side note, I painted like 2001 Age of Sigmar.
You know, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, whatever.
Just,
moving on.
Oh.
But yeah, that's
cool.
been my month. Like I said, just lots of sitting crazy. Like my work's been crazy because the flu is apparently in like epidemic proportions in Alaska.
Really?
Like everyone literally has the flu. It's crazy.
It's because the opium crisis.
And then I have people who are like,
it's not the flu.
Like have emergency dental surgery, and it's really okay. So this is how shitty it is. Like I have a couple people out with flu, which I can't be mad at. Because that's bad. I'm like, oh, it makes it so much worse.
You just
and then I have someone who's like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to have surgery. My mind is emergency. I can put it off though. And you're like, oh, no, but can you? But no.
These people's venti latte whatever are more important than your surgery. Suck it up.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Walk up to the counter. It's a chick with 2 big bags of ice duct taped to her cheeks, like the old style, like toothache stuff, so you can.
Yeah. One of those like ear horns that they dump the goo out once in a while.
But yeah,
he's gonna be fine.
So yeah, our work has been a little crazy this past couple of weeks, but that's okay.
Oh, nice.
It's stabilizing out.
Yay.
Nice, just in time for the bumps.
It's still not as crazy as my last job, where I was working crazy hours every week.
We're glad you don't have that job anymore.
Yeah, Ted remembers that time.
The worst.
Like super happy, positive person.
I don't remember that.
Well, no, Dave, you'd be like, oh, when are you free? And I'm like, well, I work like noon till 11 p.m. 6 days this week.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right.
What are you doing the other day? Like recovering.
Probably some sleep.
Oh, and dude, that rotating schedule was the worst.
Yay! Welcome to the other side.
Yeah. Welcome to the other side. Today's topic: podcast scheduling.
Yeah.
Yay.
and how well that works.
Oh my god! So this whole school thing, I don't know if you saw that post. That actually, I think you did. But it was like, now that I'm in class, like with all these like 19-year-olds, like we were trying to like figure out our schedules, and it was kind of like a pain in the ass. Like like everybody's like school schedule's different, so we could figure out this group project and everything. And I remember like and it just like it was all like wonky, and there's like a part where I'm like, I could do this time, but not after 3, not after 3, not after 3, not after 3. And like, should I actually mention that I have a kid? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of like riding the storm because like at one point, like in their meetings, they're like, yeah, I think we could be pretty flexible with like our policies because we're all young and immature. Like, you're like, I could be your dad, like without a stretch. I mean, like I could straight up be your dad.
I mean, you're still immature, so I was like, just not young.
Like a friend of mine who like posted on that. It was like, yeah, I think you fit that category, Dad.
Yeah, one is like
young or mature.
Like, and I have people like when I go to run background checks on new employees, and they're like, what's your date of birth for that? And they're like 1991. I'm like. No, 2001. I had a 2001.
Ooh, damn,
and I'm like
17-year-old.
Oh, I feel old now. You know what I was doing in 2001? I was at a rock concert because I remember that.
I was at the birth of my first child.
We're old and jaded. but that's okay.
Wow, this has been great.
I know we depressed everyone, but let's bring up.
I think it's great. I think it's fun.
Yeah,
I actually enjoy it.
Just call this podcast here. This train wreck's over. Just hit the delete button and start over.
Screw you, Dave. You got coffee from my work and didn't even call an offer.
Actually, I couldn't remember how late they were open, so it was like a sprint move where I whipped into the drive-thru at like 7:58. Thinking
you had like an entire other hour.
I couldn't remember if it was 8 or 9, so I was panicked.
So
I really wanted one.
Yada yada.
Didn't have enough time to call you.
Yada yadas. We all find Canada yada yada marine. Fuck you guys for making me paint white and red.
Yeah, hold on. You know what? Go to the tape for this. I'm fairly certain you were the one that came up with the checkered pattern.
Actually, that was you.
It was you.
Like,
you picked the color scheme. You picked the logo.
Oh, I didn't think I'd have to actually paint it.
Wait, hey, this is fun. We should all paint one, is what I said. And then John said, yeah, we should. We'll do it like a challenge. And I was like, no, not a challenge.
Oh, then like anytime somebody drops the gauntlet, like Dave is quick. They're like, I will fuck that challenge up. Like,
I will do it.
Dave, stop it.
I
got your penis away.
But maybe if if you make the challenge ridiculous enough, then people won't want to do it. Like red and white quartered Marines.
I have to say, like, I was not excited about that color scheme. Like, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh god.
Because
I think we were looking at the Space Marine book, and there was like a red and white like check scheme. Like, it looks so candy. And then, but actually, like, I think like in the end, I like what I came up with, not what Dave came up with, but I like what I'm just kidding.
I like what John came up with, but the internet hated it, so I actually can't.
We actually had like a discussion about like your model as I think we came to an appreciation of like what you were doing there, where the arms were different color than the shoulder pads. Yeah. Trying to get like the arms into the leg quadrants.
It's just because I imagined like if I had a Terminator standing at attention, like with his arms down by the sides, it would look stupid if it was like red. Yeah. So like I said, I went kind of a different color, and especially because on the Terminators, the shoulder pads are so massive.
Yeah.
That like I wanted to break it up a little bit there. I mean that was the plan. Cool. Obviously I can't paint white though. So
that's hard.
That was a small, and I'm trying to find this tweet now.
Painting white was so easy.
So Dave, what was your white recipe? Because your white turned out really good. And like I said, I did my best to not have surprise tones in there because you are a skilled painter. But white is...
Sorry, what was that? I'm sorry. I blacked out there for a second. What happened? I was like, did Ed McMahon just give me money? What are the odds of that? What was that?
You are a skilled painter. So how did you do your white?
All right. So I went out and I bought a bunch of colors.
Okay.
That were off whites, gray whites,
so
light
built
gray
it up.
whites.
Okay.
And built it up. Took me about 3 coats. Because I started with black because I'm a masochist.
I feel you.
I was going to say,
I feel you.
Yeah. I started white.
I undercoated black because I'm an idiot. But I painted I talked to a few people and I said, I'm going to do this. And they're like, whatever you do, don't paint the red first because you'll never get your line right with the white. Paint the white first and then you can, work your red into it. So
that makes sense.
But I want to say it was...
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Go ahead and hold on. Let me pull up the paint app because I can kind of tell you what I used actually. I just got to find the right colors. Looking at my inventory wish list.
Oh, going through here.
That's awesome. That's great, Dave.
Yeah.
I periscoped part of the team tournament. I forgot about that. Yeah.
What does that do?
Like a live feed on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Of all the different armies and stuff.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, it was riveting.
I actually would really enjoy that. I think like if you did take a moment to like showcase the armies and the tournaments, I think that would be a lot of fun.
That's what I'm trying to do. Just want to jump in here. So I put up here, day before recording, you say, I guess I better yada yada. Damn, whoever suggested quarters to heck. So that was my thing right there. So I put my little thing up with my little shitty base. And the only reply goes, never go quarters unless you're amazing at painting. I'm like, so I reply with, I feel both vindicated and insulted.
That was like the last time I went dancing. It was like, Ted, you didn't have to dance.
My wife was like, I like the quarter scheme. Are you going to do a quarter on the helmet too? And I'm like, no. No, let's not tempt fate.
All right. Ricarth flesh, pallid witch flesh.
Oh.
Pallid witch flesh is now my go-to white. The coverage on it is just way better. I don't know if it's like the pigment in the paint or something like that, but it goes on like really smooth, and I don't find myself like swearing because I see like brush strokes and all kinds of other shit. And also, I don't know what it like my white scar and like the ceramite white, like it clumps like really quickly.
Those two are the worst paints.
White's a problem. I think like white and yellow are generally a problem, and I think it's because of like the nature. Like, I mean, you're going at the lightest possible color, and I think like in order to get like good coverage, you have like a high pigment count, which makes it a little bit more chalky. And so like that ratio that they're trying to get like of medium to keep it like lubricated versus otherwise.
All my yellows are really thin, like are thinner paints than the rest of them. The yellows from the Citadel yellows, but like the Citadel whites are thick. They're almost like they're dry brush paints, which by the way, I don't understand those. What's the point of that?
There's a I know. Just have you heard of a pant leg?
The dry brush paints, they're terrible.
No, okay, so really I swear by them for a lot of stuff. Like,
how are you getting? I've seen the videos where Duncan says, "All right, now you just use this paint," and he's like, "Can you get some on your brush and wipe it off?" For me, they're nothing but clumps of.
You literally want to have zero paint on your brush. So like you get your clump on,
interesting.
And then you essentially wipe it all off. So what I did it in all my spooky Age of Sigmar ghosts. Yeah. And my Morgul, like the last coat of my Morgul was the dry paint. The I did a which one was it? It was like one of the dry paints, but like I did, and like I said, it's you just want it like literally catching a tiny bit, but you want to do zero paint on your brush. So you get some on and you wipe it all off, and then like you use your thumb to the point where you can't see it when you brush it on anymore, and then go just right over the top really lightly and only catch the tops.
So what you're saying is, how to dry brush.
But no, like when I say, because for real,
it's probably less wipe off, I guess.
Yeah, there's less wipe off and it takes a little time. But like I said, I used to be like that. I used to, when I put the dry paints on, I didn't like them, didn't get them. But then like when I tried them some more, they for me are really good at just those last little details, especially flesh. Like my flesh recipe that I do for kind of the standard skin is like the Reichland flesh. Which one's the regular flesh that's used? They have
a couple different
skin
tones.
It's not the Cadian flesh tone. It's not the Bugman's. It's like the lighter flesh. So I put the lighter flesh on. Then I do like the bloodletter
Screaming Skull, so I don't know.
There's like the bloodletter glaze on top of it, and then I dry brush on top with the Eldar flesh with the dry paint, and I do 2 or 3 really thin layers, and like it comes out really nice. My Tyranid wings right up there behind you in the Devourer. That's how that goes.
This is,
so I can kind of see that, like where I guess like you probably have less medium in it, so you're probably. You're probably putting more pigment on.
There's no medium at all. I have trouble actually getting it on the brush in the first place, so that I can put.
Or you just stab it right in there. Like I go through dry brushes like kids go through candy. It is not good on the brushes,
because it's like silly putty. It's like trying to drive a brush through silly putty, basically.
But here's the thing for me for dry brushing for that is like if you're using regular paint, you put it in and then you're trying to wipe all of the medium off to just get the pigment to brush on, right? So why not just get something that doesn't have the medium in the first place?
Sounds good.
Not sold.
Nah.
Like my Morgul is the last 2 different paints on that are dry paints.
Well, like so for dry paints, I really pretty much don't use them except for on the basis of my my purple Marines. Because I was looking for a quick way to get that Mars look to it when I did that for Ursula so fast. So I followed Duncan's guide of apply this and then dry brush this on there. And the problem is that it doesn't. It's not a big enough contrast. Like you can't tell.
Well, it's just the color.
So you have.
Well, it's the 2 colors that he said, the Kindle Flame Dry, and it's almost impossible to see on there unless you're. Just getting it, you're just smearing.
So you got to build it up. So you do 2 or 3 different.
I ain't got no time for that. Build it up.
Are you trying to get the dirty greave effect, like where it's just on the greave? Is that what you're trying to?
No, just the highlights, picking up the
on
ridges.
The ground.
Yeah, on the ground.
Oh, I gotcha.
On the texture paint.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
So I haven't had any good luck with it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you are. But
Underhive Ash. That's the last stage of my Morgul skin. Just remembered. It just came to me in a flash of genius.
Damn, that was genius.
And humility.
Wow. I feel enlightened now.
Yeah, seriously. Like Pythagoras got nothing on John over here.
You got torn down when you were you posted your model.
Yeah, I'm not good at like pure white. Well, okay, don't get me like.
I avoided the pure white intentionally.
So for me,
red too. It looks like.
I am not good with like large flat areas of white.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can do like cloth and cloaks and like things where like I can hide my imperfections like through the design of the model, but like large flat areas.
So like a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
You just so you can hide your imperfections.
Exactly. Right. I need the hoodie.
The big cat or a
as I'm the only person in the room wearing a sweatshirt.
Exactly.
I need the hoodie of models. But Ted, you did the Reaver just to spit in Dave's face when he said the history of the yada yadas there was no Primaris.
No, it was totally
I wasn't
spit
actually.
in my face.
It wasn't spit in the face. It wasn't spit in the face because like that was like when I was writing the background, like I was intentionally adding in like the option for Primaris, and so I think like when we discussed it, like. I
specifically wrote out the option for Primaris.
But they're not Primaris because that was the thing. Is like they were non-Primaris. So like I wanted to keep that around.
Could we keep the drama going though and just say you were trying to spit in the face?
It's already going. So
when I came over and you were like, check out the model that I chose, and I was like, you can't have that. They don't have them. And then you were like,
sorry,
that's
wait,
not
wait,
true.
stop, Dave.
And you spit right in my face.
Are you trying to dictate how Ted hobbies?
Oh, he is.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Actually, on this regard, I was. Yeah.
He's like the Pol Pot of like hobbying over here. You will not use Western instruments.
I'm gonna rename Dave's house like what's that? Pyeongchang.
So
I don't even
Northern yada yada Marines. Yeah, your Primaris, like I said, turned out great.
Yeah.
What do you do for your? Because I know, like, whereas me and Dave are pretty much stout GW paint users. Like for the majority, like all of my paints are GW paints. All of Dave's paint, I believe, are GW paints.
I haven't had any good luck with anything that isn't GW.
I mean, the only thing I've had luck with is the black primer, the Hobbycraft. One of the local stores used to carry up here, like the P3 primer.
Oh, okay.
But you use like
everything,
and it's amazing. So how did you paint yours there?
Oh God. So I think a lot of it's like, I start with the Vallejo Air. So I did like I hit it with white. Well, I hit it with black, and then I built up to like a white. And actually with the white, man, like such a pretentious pitch. But the white that I use, like, I mean, every brand has their like a really good one. And for air, I haven't found a really good one. So I use Model Masters like flat white paint. It's an acryl paint. So it's like quasi acrylic. And you just like add a little bit of water to it, and it's amazing. Like, because I think like with airbrush, like once again going back to like the high pigment count, like it just like fucks up your brush. Like it just like you end up like ionizing it, and so ionizing, what do they call it? Itemize? Fuck, I can't remember.
Like it kind of splatters out on the model, and it just is really spotty.
It's
right?
really grainy and everything.
Yeah.
And I think like that Model Masters like is really fine, and it actually like it goes on really nicely. And actually, when you're talking about like having to build up to white, I'd really recommend going and like picking up a bottle of that, because it goes on really nicely, probably like 2 layers, and you have like a really nice white. So that was like I build up there, and then I have all these like really itty bitty tiny, like 1 millimeter wide like masking tape. Like I went around and like cut out the cord, and then like got like my big fat blue, like house masking tape, like for painting walls, and like block the rest of it off.
Red.
Yeah, there's so much setup. There's so much setup to it. It's obnoxious. And then then you gotta do the highlights with the light red, which is very orangish. But I think it was like the idea, and actually like I borrowed some of like your influence. With the black, like the dark gray / black assault pack. Like, I was actually going to do that with my like his power pack, but I forgot, and so I just did his head and then his right shoulder pad, because I wanted to like break up that like white and red kind of motif.
Yeah, and the black did turn out really good. Now it was like a really nice kind of accent color to the main scheme.
Yeah,
you know what? We actually had a discussion about the fact that it's not black. And everybody kept saying, "Oh, the black looks really good." Yeah. Well, it's not. It's actually like the dark gray Citadel, dark.
But I think
grays, because it looks better than trying to actually paint real black, because real black doesn't look right when you look at it. It doesn't. Right. You can't get the proper definition without over highlighting edges and whatnot.
Well, like true black is like when you turn off the lights. Like that's the only time you really have true black. Like you know, like I mean, the black TV on the wall, like there's like series of grays, and like reflecting. So there's like light hits it and it doesn't perfectly absorb. And so like when you paint things black, like it's not true black. And so like with the miniature, it doesn't reflect like its environment properly, and so you don't have that like that natural graying thing that's going on. And so you want to simulate reality, since reality is not doing a very good job of simulating with itself.
It's not self-stimulating.
Yeah. So I think like in order to get like it's weird. I think like, you know, sometimes it's if you make things not real, they look more realistic. Because I think like we were talking also about like how you know, like if you base like, you know, like I think people's like first impression like intent and inclination like when they start like hobbying is like, oh, I'm gonna glue some rocks on this base, and rocks look like rocks, so I won't paint them to look like rocks. And then you like look at it and you're like, everything else is painted. There's this dialogue of painted going on here, and then all of a sudden you have these rocks that are like almost like opaque-ish that don't look like rocks anymore because they're in a painted environment. So you have to paint them to reduce their realism. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I watch like a lot of like filmmaking stuff and everything as well, and something they would do when they do like scale models of ships on water.
Okay.
They have to be really careful, because if they try and like simulate an explosion or something dropping in the water, the way that water pools and forms is always to scale. So there's like they can't use like real water to kind of show explosions or damage or things around it. They shoot salt.
That makes sense.
That's kind of how they show granules and stuff like for scale.
Okay.
Like old like 60s, 70s war films with like the Navy. They kind of like shoot salt up there because it's the same thing. Yeah. Like you're instantly pulled out as soon as you see like something that well it's like a mental trick. No. You need to trick the brain, and like when you're looking at a model and you see like an unpainted rock and then you're like, oh shit, that's a rock, and like because your brain knows that and your brain can correlate that without even thinking.
Yeah, it's like I've been seeing a lot of people lately. There's a guy who's actually a fairly big YouTuber and player of Age
Dark
of Sigmar.
Angels? Oh, okay.
Age of Sigmar. No, I said a big YouTuber.
More subscribers.
He only has 10 times more subscribers.
If you divide Phil's 10 times by his 1 and you divide our 1,000 by 3,
he's still a better YouTuber.
We're better. So you've got to multiply by the negative.
Oh yeah, we're very
the
negative.
Inverse.
Tom at Warhammer Weekly or something like that. He puts puts twigs and sticks and stuff on the bases, but he doesn't paint them. So every time I look at like a base that has a twig or a stick on it to make it seem like a tree, you know, I'm kind of pulled out a little bit.
Well, Ted, you do that, with you like your
do you?
But I paint them.
Right, and I still think it looks good because I don't know. I think you're very meticulous when you go through your twigs and sticks.
Oh,
I mean, that sounds like an asshole thing to say.
It's like you're saying I have a small penis.
That's what I heard. I was like, damn, Ted, are you gonna take that?
But like,
it's true.
Of course you are. You have a tiny penis.
But your Tau are all gripping tiny penises.
They are the Tau.
Space communists.
Yeah, they just
but
run along and spawn.
For me, that kind of fits because I think. I mean, do you 100% paint it, or do you just kind of add some paint?
Oh, totally. To make I mean, I glue it in there, and then I prime it, and then I paint it. Like, yeah, it's entirely painted.
Is it just so to kind of like replicate natural form on there, or?
I mean, well, I think like, you know, like if you're gonna sculpt a tree, you know, like it's a pain in the ass. I don't want to spend too much time like sculpting a fucking tree. Like, you know, the real thing looks
Damn
like
it
looks real.
You actually did paint it.
What, the tree?
Yeah.
Oh, you saw? Oh, okay. Which one? Oh, okay. Yeah, totally. I don't put a lot of time into it. I think with the bases, honestly, I generally, although I'm starting to do it more, I'm like, yeah, I don't put much time. By the way, did you check out that one where I'm actually painting each individual lichen on rotting marble? But yeah, I think like bringing natural things in is nice, and it does like add realism. But I think like the painting it is the part where like you want to knock it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's something. Actually, it's something I've been doing.
Yeah.
Just to keep this going longer than it should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
With my Age of Sigmar stuff, I've been working more on the bases, and kind of like doing more work to kind of make the bases look prettier.
Like,
and like
modeling work or painting work?
So like, I'm using like the scorched earth static grass. I'm using kind of like some highlights and things like that, just because, well, mainly because it's like all my guys are blue.
I've been going back and adding. I special ordered some tufts of grass to go onto my Primaris to try to fancy up the bases.
But I mean, honestly, like just adding like
doing a little bit like
adding tufts of grass and just like little shit like that really adds so much to it. It's crazy. Like I have a bunch of like my Nighthawk where like they have my old school Imperial fist, just like. Yep, straight up dirt. Great, looks great. And then like when you put it beside like the other stuff where I've just added, like literally all I've done is added like flock.
We did an entire episode or part of an episode on basing, didn't we? I think it was like in the very early days.
I think we need to do another one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, I can't. You know what I want to do in the future. You know, while we're openly spitballing here.
Okay.
All right.
I want to do a Iron Chef style modeling challenge.
Oh, we talked about that, didn't we?
Where we all get a bag of stuff,
didn't we?
Or
yeah, but are we gonna do it in a like 6? We're all in the same place. 6 hours go. You know, or because I mean,
maybe we could, but like,
could you?
I don't. What?
You're gonna bring your airbrush over to where are you gonna do it?
We could do it in my garage.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you mean? It's heated. It's nice.
Is it heated? You got a hole in one of your windows.
There's cardboard. That's an R1/2.
He's got egg boxes over there. It's acoustically sound.
Hopefully, I'll be getting a new garage door.
Can we get somebody though to play the 2 roles of Alton Brown and
I'll
like
do
the
that.
actual chef? No, you're participating. If you're weaseling out of this one. I'm gonna need Hogshead to play the chairman, right? Isn't that who it is, the chairman? Yeah. And then Nate can play Alton Brown, or Danny. We'll get Danny to play Alton Brown. And
I tried to talk Phil into coming up this summer, and like, then we'd have a videographer. That'd be great.
Phil's coming up for Ursa, right?
No.
Really? I thought he said he was coming up this year.
He might have been wanting to, but like a few weeks ago, he said
how
that he was
much more
too busy.
do I have to patron to him to get him up here?
How much is a round trip airfare?
Because I mentioned that because I'm like, dude, we can just get like a bunch of the guys if we all chip in some money. Like, I'm sure we can get you up here, or like airline miles. You know, we all have airline miles up here, and but it was time. I think the time thing was a big thing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so
that's other stuff.
Have a real job. Come on. How hard is it to pre-record some bat reps, Phil? Come on.
Anyway,
moving on. This is overshot its welcome by like 70 episodes now. Yeah. So we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about other stuff.
Word.
No. The new Mark IIIA uses a ceramic-overplus steel with a buttress carbon composite frame.
What? Oh yeah. Which one of those is it?
All of them.
Oh, neat. Hey, is this a cup holder?
Yes, the driver's compartment has a cup holder as an optional accessory.
No way. Shut up. Cup holders?
Well, not everybody has a life support system. So for the exploratory group of mortals we felt,
cup holders? I'll take it.
Mark IIIA also has a traditional quad thermoreactor.
Hey, do you think I could try it out?
Well, of course. The ignition is on the dash right.
I brought my favorite travel mug. I got it in this amazing bakery in the Segmentum just outside of Armageddon a few years back. Oh my gosh. Perfect fit.
So anyway, as you can see, the new Mark IIIA has a power coupler interface in the top hatch to allow for modular weapon components that can be...
Does this have a heater in it? I hate it when recap gets cold. If the coffee holder had a heater, that would just make my day.
We hadn't considered that, as most chapters use Astartes drivers, and most of you Astartes don't drink recap. But I suppose we could build you something.
Great, you tech priests are the best.
Do you want to see the comms unit specs?
Nah, I'm good.
Is there anything I can...
No, we'll take 11 of them. Thank you. The Emperor protects.
Space Marines hate change. How'd you ever convince him to upgrade to the new Mark IIIA?
Cup holders, believe it or not.
Oh, cup holders.
Brand new Mars pattern Mark IIIA Rhino. New with cup holders.
Welcome back. Hey, happy positive 40K stuff. Woo! Oh man, so Tab, what are we talking about today?
SOB
Sons of bitches? Well, Dave, it's an episode all about you.
Oh, God. And, like, when Dave first started, like, I almost felt bad that, like, I teased him so much.
Nah.
Now it's like everybody's ripping.
It's good stuff.
Whatever.
I love you, Dave.
We don't get invited into the League of Daves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because our names are different.
I feel a little butthurt.
You know what? There's
My dad's middle name was Dave, and he went by Dave.
I had a friend called Dave once in a different country.
My brother's name was
I
Dave.
don't believe you. This sounds made up. Just trying to be cool.
Yeah, and the Daves.
Because everybody knows that you got to have a Dave friend to pick on.
See, that's good, because, like, I've met, like, 2 Teds. Like, like, mobilizing the Teds would be impossible.
You keep always...
Mobilize the test.
You keep asking me to bring Cody over to hobby at your house.
Yeah.
There's a reason I can't bring Cody over.
Is his name actually Ted?
No, I would
Oh, okay.
probably cry when the two of you would treat me. That's
Really?
yeah. I couldn't handle it. I'd be like, nah, it's
You
cool.
overlay some really sad cerebral.
This is for, like, decades of, like, you beating on me, man. This is revenge shit.
I'm good. My wife makes tons of money. I'm going to Warhammer World. Fuck you. Get your shots in while you can. So, Sons of Bitches.
Yeah,
Sons
Sisters of Battle.
Sisters of Battle. What I learned,
Yeah?
what I learned reading up on this was that Sisters of Battle is just like a small portion of the Adeptus Sororitas.
A small portion?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they are just, the Sisters of Battle only refers to the military part of it.
Okay.
What I found, so like there's multiple different ordos
Yeah.
that aren't necessarily war peoples. There's like nanny wing.
The hospitaler.
No, dude. There's
Oh.
like ones that like work for high class Terran families or like
Oh,
imperial
shit.
families.
I
And
didn't know that.
Like look after the kids and do like Mrs. Doubtfire style
Oh,
stuff.
my God.
But they're mainly there so that the rich, powerful people realize who's really in charge
That's how.
Wow.
and to like help indoctrinate the kids. There's like you said, the hospitalers. There's
Okay.
like a whole bunch of medical people.
Yeah.
Well, and like the medical sisters, like they go to everyone but the Space Marines because the Space Marines have their own. But yeah, if like a guardsman gets wounded, most likely it's a sister of battle is taking care of him afterwards. Well, not a sister of battle. I'm sorry, a sister of hospital that fixes him up beforehand. Like I didn't realize how widespread they were throughout the Imperium.
That's neat. I think I almost want to like make up like an army, like an orphanage. Like,
Or dude, I just want to grab a random sister of battle and have
Yeah.
her in like my Imperial Guard army.
with an umbrella.
But she's got to be wearing white with that big red cross on it so that you know that she's just a medic.
Yeah, or maybe she's like an envoy mission for a local tournament. You gotta take your sister across enemy lines. But yeah,
cool.
yeah, no. So like, the Adeptus Sororitas, like we've talked about them for a while.
Yeah.
Like we've been sisters adjacent because Ted, you're
Yeah.
a huge fan of what I found is someone who has a lot of different pronunciations about Goj Van Dyer.
Yeah.
I heard someone say Gog.
Gog. That's what I keep
Van
hearing.
Dier.
I like Goj a lot better. I could be
Goj.
wrong, and I probably am wrong, but Goj sounds dope.
Goj, like in your mouth, just feels
It
more
does.
satisfying
It
to
does.
say.
Yeah.
But Gogi. I heard someone say Gogi.
Gogi.
Who was the creator of Goj Van Dyer? I mean, somebody he's a novel. He's a novel character.
We're just
right?
gonna say
Really?
Matt Ward.
Oh.
Just let the love.
Well, then it's
Well, Age of
then it's
Apostases
definitely
goes
gonna
way
we
back.
totally have screwed it
he
up.
was really young when he came up with it. Like,
He was
what do you
3.
want to call him, little Maddie? Gogi.
All right, so I'm looking through the sources. There's Dark Heresy, Disciples of the Dark Gods.
Did you look up chaos again by accident there?
Oh shit, I'm not connected to your internet, so I can't
Oh, man.
look that up.
So-
So whenever
so-
that came out.
Yeah, so our sisters, like, they started off like working for Gogi. They were like super
Yeah.
devout warriors, and he kind of made them believe that he was a god, like literally the emperor.
So this is good. I think we should go back in a way, because I think like when we were researching this, I was almost like, didn't we already do sisters?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit, no, we just did Age of Apostasies, which is
Right.
the sisters' history. But I kind of want to go. I think this is like, it's interesting to kind of like touch on some points, like going back through the history of the ecclesiarchy, because I think like their history is, I mean, it's
intertwined for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Did you connect to the internets yet?
no, I actually wrote stuff down, but I can't, so I can't look up to see when that book came out. So if anybody of you guys
keep talking
want to,
while I write down stuff and pass a note to Ted.
oh, did you write it? Oh,
No, the
okay, I gotcha.
He's not going to reveal his password to the network.
So because I know my neighbor listens. I'm not giving you my high-speed Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow. So the ecclesiarchy, I think like the history of the ecclesiarchy, I think like back in the day, one of the interesting things, and I think like I also often forget, is that the idea of the emperor god is a relatively new phenomenon. It's just in the last like few 1,000 years.
Because when we were like looking at the Beast Arises, like the majority of people there were pretty uncomfortable with like the whole idea of like a god emperor.
And that was the change. Like it was after that. It was like the change to it all. And so I think like and I think like when we talked about the age of apostasies, we discussed like how it was like this media change. Like I think the ecclesiarchy was this small, like it was a cult. Like it was literally a cult. It wasn't part of the High Lords. It wasn't that big of a deal. But like, and there was like multiple cults, and eventually one rose out of it. I can't remember exactly how it rose out. Do you remember?
Well, I think it was because Goj.
It was prior to Goj.
Was it prior to Goj?
Yeah. Goj took over the already established ecclesiarchy, but prior to that, there was the cult. I can't remember what it was officially called, but what was it?
There was the Boosters Club, the Imperial Boosters.
Okay.
What was going on?
So it was. So are you Lando?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ted, edit this out later.
How come that doesn't work? Oh, dude, we can look at this power of Apple. It says, "Do you want to share your?" Oh, there's a problem sharing your Wi-Fi password. It asked me on my iPad.
Oh wow.
Yeah, technology. But yeah.
So I think like after like they kept like pushing, like it was like they would try to get more power. Like they eventually like unified into this one cult that became the ecclesiarchy.
Wasn't it part of like Van Gorich, like him going insane and like taking over everything, that they started to rise in power after that?
That was the 32. So this must have been. Yeah, I think this must have been going on right before. So this goes on like throughout. Like it's like, they started off before him, and then it like I think they kind of rose to power, and then they just like exploded, right? Like we did the whole Age of Apostasies, where like there was this battle between this Cold War between the Administratum and the ecclesiarchy. The Administratum like beat them down, and like they eventually like left the planet.
They went to their own place. They took off from Terra. They went to Ophelia 7.
Yeah, we're gonna go to our own planet. Better than yours,
which bankrupted them.
Right. Well, no, because they were like, we're gonna raise our own tithes,
right? And then they like were rolling in the dough, but nobody liked paying it because it was like astronomically high.
And Terra was like, where the fuck did all of our money go? And like they're sitting there in Ophelia 7, like wearing like gold armor, and we're like, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Well, they had like this massive temple that was the size of multiple cities, like the whole state of New York.
Praise be to the God Emperor. It's like the mega churches now.
Oh.
It's like their 40K equivalent. I'm gonna
only
heal
turned
him.
up slightly.
I'm gonna heal him by shooting him in the head, but he's dead now. But he's not suffering.
We got his bank account number.
Praise be.
So that goes on. They go back and forth, and eventually, like they rise in power. They create an army called I forgot what they called it, the first one. But then they had the Templars militant, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think like that kind of pissed everybody off. But they were like, "Oh, it's not an army; it's a crusading force to go and quell, insurrections."
Fraterris Templars.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. So then there must have been the military. I forgot. Anyway, they had another one too that was like but these guys were slightly better equipped than your typical guardsmen. Which the way they said that, like better equipped than a guardsman. I'm like fucking flashlights and like wooden armor. What are you talking about?
2 bayonets.
One was sharp.
He didn't have a gun though.
Yeah. So they were like a really good fighting force apparently, and then but that like bothered people. Then I think they eventually they came back. They moved back to Terra, and I think they had a big like fallout with the Administratum, and I think they kind of like the guy who before Goj was the big guy who sold the whole thing. I can't remember his name. Like Galveston.
Jim.
Okay, yeah. So it was Jim. I think it started with a G of some sort. But.
Well, Goj came in. He was the High Lord of the Administratum already. And he was super powerful, and he didn't like the Ministerium at all. He didn't like the ecclesiarchy. But everyone who opposed him was mysteriously disappeared or found dead.
And I think he started putting like puppets in like the seats of the ecclesiarchy too. Yeah. So he was kind of aligning them with his endeavors.
He just kind of usurped the position.
Yeah.
And took it himself.
So time went on. We did an episode on it, and then I think eventually, like as you were saying, going into he heard about these chicks in a cult.
I was going to say, I think my favorite thing with the ghost story is like he started wiping out all of his opponents in the ecclesiarchy, and all of the cardinals who were like, okay, shit. We have our own planet. Let's get the fuck off of Earth. We're going to go there. So they get on their ship, and they start flying towards Ophelia 7, and they get lost in this massive warp storm. And then Goj is like, see, the Emperor didn't love that. He loves me. And that's kind of like how he gained the power. But yeah, he finds this group of Girl Scouts. These like there's this like really devout people, and he starts to kind of twist their mind and kind of get everything going, so that they believe that he is like a living representative of the Emperor, like almost like a living saint, and they start to like worship him. And he kind of starts to like centralize all of his power, and he goes like crazy with power, as soon as people do. You know, absolute power corrupts. And these daughters of the Emperor, as they were called then, they followed him, and he renamed them brides of the Emperor. Which, oh my god, the images that gives, if he is the Emperor in human form, and he now has a bunch of brides of the Emperor, this turns into some kind of crazy harem anime.
And it was pretty implicit. That, I mean, like being bordering explicit.
Oh yeah, but do you know how he got them to follow him?
Stupid refractor field.
Yeah. He had a Rosaris on him, and he asked them to shoot him, and the Rosaris did its job, and he didn't die. And like, oh, he bring technology. You know?
Ugh, not die.
Ugh, not die. Ugh, God. And yeah, he took him back, and he became. They pretty much like just took over, and then thankfully our brand new OP Custodes was like, I mean, I love. Okay, so any kind of pre Gulliman waking up Custodes story I love, because like 90% of the time, like, okay, guess we're gonna go do shit now.
They're super reluctant.
All right, so like, and they don't even leave the Emperor's side. They're like, you're in charge of the brides, right? And the girl's like, yeah. I'm like, come here. And they go and have an audience with the Emperor. And I imagine the Custodes just still has his open can of like Foster's Lager. He's wearing his like volleyball shorts and like just outside like twiddling his thumbs. And when the leader comes out, the head of the order, or the head of the brides, comes out.
Angelica, was it?
Yeah.
Dominica.
They're changed, and they're like, okay. And they're silent, and they walk out, and they go to Van Dyer, and they say it's like, you're a heretic. And they just chop off his head.
Yeah. After my favorite line in 40K.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, please. I skipped over it. Ted, please.
I'm too busy to die. I have too many things to do. Pop.
And then they helped him reduce his to-do list quite sufficiently.
But I thought like one of the neat things. So I think like, you know, they brought him in. I think like part of the reason they decided that they were going to use these sisters was because of what was the thing called? It
was after the decree.
Oh. After the decree?
So right. Van Dyer dies. And then they're like, okay, shit, the ecclesiarchy is way too powerful.
At this point, we have Sebastian Thor.
Yeah, Sebastian Thor.
So I'm sorry, I was jumping ahead then. So before we get to that, so they brought the sisters in, and they armed them to the fucking teeth. So they got like power armor. They got like these smaller bolters. Like, I mean, they were supposed to be
bolters
stronger
for her,
but and so they're supposed to be like almost as strong as like a space marine. And there's 10,000 of these chicks.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
and they were hunkered down inside this inside the fortress. Like you had 3 space marine chapters. I think it was like the Imperial Fist, the Firehawks, and I can't remember what the third one was. Plus a shit ton of Scutarii. Like infiltrate, like trying to get in to take out Goj, and the 10,000 sisters were holding him back. And like part of me was like, well, I mean, this is the holy temple. I mean, the temple of the emperor. But on the other hand, like this thing had been in such disrepair that they said that like a lot of the rooms had like knee-high dust. Like a lot of the windows were caked so bad you couldn't see through them. Like rats were living in like a lot of the rugs. You had entire wings of the emperor's palace were collapsed from disrepair. So the place was fucked.
Right in front of it all,
was
the Imperial Fist chapter master being like, "Fuck, we fortified that well."
But I love the idea that like here you had like 10,000 sisters. Like as you know, we kind of scoff at the sisters to some degree, but like they were holding their own, and it had to like it was an internal thing that had to turn the tides. Although I think like the battle, from what I remember, that was a while ago, was turning. But it just wasn't turning
it
fast
was
enough.
But like I said, like there was massive losses, and like it took like
an entire Imperial Fist chapter was reduced to one man,
as is tradition.
Right, it's
it's not a
tradition. And Steve, the lone survivor, like there's one Steve, the Imperial Fist has been an Imperial Fist for 10,000 years, and he is always the last one.
I gotta give genetics again. DNA.
Go.
He's got a little
jizz
tap.
in a cup.
Swim
like,
brothers.
Whatever.
So the army stands forever, and then the Custodes take Alicia Dominica in there and and then Goj Van Dyer dies, and we're replaced by Sebastian Thor.
Yeah, and Sebastian Thor's like, "No, guys, come on! Like the ecclesiarchy cannot be this powerful again. No armies. No, they can have no man fight for them." And then that's when like Jeff is just like our little custody friend is just like, "Okay, yeah, that's fair. No man can fight for them, but these chicks can because they're not man." And then I would imagine Thor is like, these guys just heresied so hard over the entire Imperium. They caused all this death and destruction, and they're like, "Nah, man, they're cool. They're good."
But I think that was it. Like they noticed, like the Custodes recognized that they were like almost flawless. Like the sisters were almost flawless in their devotion to the Emperor, and I think they saw that and were like, "All right, so we just gotta like steer these.
We got to make them see the actual Emperor,
and
once they do."
But even then, you take them to the High Lords and be like, "Yeah, these sisters we've been fighting for like years, who almost destroyed the Imperium because of like they were following this guy. They're good now." That's like
what?
Like
you can't switch sides. I mean,
it's like the police storming the Manson ranch, killing Manson, and be like, "Yeah, his follower, they're good though. They're gonna be like these Texas cops now."
That's a very obscure reference.
According to our demographics, our listeners get it. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's really like a bizarre situation for the cult to be okay after the cult leader goes. And it just, like I said, it goes to kind of, I guess, the power of like seeing the golden throne, and they kind of obviously the influence that the Custodes have. Because like, as you see, like if a Custodes says it, the Emperor said it.
I think like this is kind of interesting because I think like for one of the things that I like reading through this that I thought was kind of brilliant of the ecclesiarchy in the early days was they were setting the canon for what would come thousands of years later. Like by trying to say that they were the mouthpiece of the emperor back when like everybody was like, fucking who cares? This isn't like, they were on a different plane. And so like they were like scoffed at like the idea that the emperor had like divine anything. Like there was no divinity to him. It was just,
especially because back then as well, everyone was like, I was literally there. No, that's not what happened.
And I think like the heresy was spoken as like in more historical terms versus like allegories and like like almost like biblical, and then as time shifted, the ecclesiarchy had this soft sell and hard sell when it came to the Templars, but that like they were the divine voice and that even though that didn't matter, and I think like at one point like the Administratum was like, fucking okay, fine, you're the mouth voice of some fucking corpse on a throne, enjoy. And then, but like by accepting that, like they ushered in like this power later on that would continue to this day in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. So then, like, we have Sebastian Thor, and I like to think that he has like Fabio hair, like I mentioned, like lovely, like lady.
Everything I've read of him is he's literally just Fabio.
And so he comes in, of course, and like, so how did that decree passive come about? Because I didn't really look into that too much. But this is key.
It's key. It's because because of what Van Dyer did, he was able to hold the Imperium with his massive, huge armies.
Yeah.
Because, like, remember, he's in charge of the ecclesiarchy. They have massive tithes coming in. He's in charge of the administration. So he decides
the other side
how the money is spent. So he has these massive armies. So they're like, okay, ecclesiarchy, we kind of need it to keep the Imperium going right now. We might not necessarily agree with it. But you can't have a standing army, so no man can fight for you. And they're like, okay, wink. And they're like, the fuck did you just wink at me for? No reason, wink.
But I think that was like part of it was like they wrote that, and then Sebastian Thor was like, you guys, but okay.
You're like, fucking seriously? And then like Jeff, our custodian, is like, you've seen the Imperium. Really, this is the one thing you're going to take a stand over it being like, really just,
just roll with it, bro.
Just go with it.
That guy's got 2 tentacles over there. Come on. Just let him have the chase.
Soft serve ice cream.
We've literally had 3 Imperium ending events in 4,000 years. Let's just go with it.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then, the sisters are brought kind of back because, like I said, their leaders saw the light, like literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And like they were responsible for ending the war. So that was given, and now they get to be the standing army of the ecclesiarchy. What I thought was super interesting, a new order of the Inquisition was formed that is essentially in control of them. Because up until this point, after Beast arises in the 32nd millennium, the Inquisition splits up to. Come on, it only took us a year and a half. But the Inquisition splits into the Ordo Malleus and the Ordo Xenos. And then you form the Order Hereticus. Now, if the Order Hereticus was just to get heretical leaders and psychers and chaos and things, Malleus does that. That's what they're for. Hereticus is to kind of take down the threats inside the Imperium. And here, like, the issue with that is, if you're like, this planetary governor, he's not playing ball. He doesn't say all. He's not paying his tithes.
He's a heretic.
He's a heretic. Send in the Imperial Guard. Sir, he is in charge of the Imperial Guard for that world. Ooh.
Tough spot.
So, like, if you're
Send in a penitent engine.
if you're an Inquisitor and you're like, I want to requisition you, Guardsman. Absolutely, Inquisitor. So what would you like me to do? Kill your planetary governor.
And then yourself.
and then yourself. And then also help us with this demonic incursion. And the Guardsman's like, this what?
What's a demonic incursion?
What's a demon? Oh, fuck.
We play D&D.
You know what?
Kill you. So now they are put basically in charge so they can summon the sisters to come fight for them because they are strong of mind, because they're strong of faith. Sisters, something I found out, mostly orphans.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly, like, so no one's gonna miss them.
Whoa.
They're indoctrinated since birth, and the super crazy ones go to be like this fighting force who Inquisitors use to kind of keep the Imperium in line. And this is kind of another example we see of kind of the way the stories go and the way the Imperium is run is kind of ruled by fear, and the fact that, hey, if you don't play ball, we have assassins. We have a standing force of uber religious people who won't listen or care what you have to say.
And if we really have to, we'll call in the Space Marines.
But I mean, there's even a time of what if you want to say the heresy that you were trying to stop is the chapter master of a Space Marine Legion chapter.
Well, then obviously,
And then Astartes, we've seen in the fiction and the stories we've read, Astartes do not like fighting Astartes unless there is a very goddamn good reason. And then even then, if you're the Inquisitor...
if the Battleboard taught me anything, it's that some chapters don't actually need a very good goddamn reason. Like, they could just, like, they lose at poker. It's like, I can't believe he bluffed me out of my last credit.
But sometimes if you're an Inquisitor and you're like, okay, we got to stop this heresy, and the Marine's like, explain to me why. I'm like, I don't fucking have time for this. Yo, sisters, let's go.
One of the things I thought was kind of neat about that the way they restructured the sisters, because I think they're ecclesiarchy, so they're officially underneath the ecclesiarchy, but they don't answer to the ecclesiarchy. So it's like ecclesiarchy foots the bill, but then like when it comes down to it, like it's the Inquisition is like, no guys, no, we're gonna send them over here instead. But we paid for it. No, thank you for the meal. However, that's what they're doing. So that was pretty brilliant. I thought
it's like the ecclesiarchy pays for the food, but the Inquisition decides where you're eating. So they're like, well, it's kind of a tight month. Let's go to McDonald's, and you're like, steak.
That's right.
You guys said we could do this.
Could we have some? No. Here's a butter tab. Enjoy.
Here's a tab. Can we eat? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sisters of Battle. Like I said, the way they're organized. So, as a standing army, we have our canonesses. I mean,
so you're going to go through the structure?
Yeah, structure-wise. If you want to go through the structure they're very similar to a Space Marine chapter.
Yeah.
I would say, kind of looking at that there.
All right. Yeah, I could see that.
So you perhaps I think there's a little bit more on the upper side because there is the abbess who is like who would be the equivalent of the Guliman, right? Isn't that right? Like, because normally, well, up until Guliman came back, like there was I think that's what they called it, right? Like there was like the Lord of the Space Marines. So he was like a high lord, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they called him? Did they call him a Guliman?
Did they call him a Guliman?
No, I think that's what I want to say that's what they called it. Like it was the title, or
I don't know. I
want to say that they're just like a Baba Yaga.
Yeah. We'll call it that.
So there's there's the abbess, and then she was like not a high lord, but she was still like up there.
Well, she's the leader of the convent prioris on Terra. Sorry,
Okay.
I can't read my own writing.
Oh, that's right. There's two of them. That's right. There's two of them.
Right?
Is that right? Or was or am I thinking the Pyrus?
You're thinking of the Pyrus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the abbess.
There's one abbess
who's been missing. They haven't had one in a while. Like she just appeared, and they haven't appointed it. It's somebody who's either appointed internally or it's by the High Lords.
Yeah. So there's only ever a single abbess. I like this. Presently, the position is vacant.
Are you looking for fast-paced work environment?
Are you interested in the hustle and bustle of Holy Terra? Would you like to worship nearer the Emperor every day? So essentially, here
it's vacant because she's missing, and in the rules are that she has to pass it on the mantle on to somebody else.
Oh,
and since
shit.
she can't pass it on, it has to remain vacant.
They didn't think those bylaws through.
Right.
If only the ecclesiarchy and the Inquisition had a really good reason for wanting to keep that position vacant. So it's certainly agenda pushing.
So we're thinking about doing a little heresy. What do you think? We got to get rid of this chick. She's kind of a stickler for rules.
You just want to put little prayer beads on the ground, like a trail of candy to lead her away from stuff.
So the missing abbess, Sabrina,
little prayer bead, little prayer bead,
and her entourage are. I like to think they were last missing on the ocean world of Habron 4, and I'm just like to think that they're just there on the beach. They're just like, oh shit, this is nice.
Hey, wait,
we're never leaving.
The shuttle took off.
Yeah.
What happened? What? Really?
No, I imagine they're like, just send the shuttle back, dude. We'll put a note in there. We'll cut it out of like newspaper print. Like Abbess stolen. Send that 10 million
prayer beads.
Or they're like
prayer beads,
super jaded, like Luke Skywalker in Episode 8.
Oh yeah.
So she's just sitting there.
They try to kill the High Lord, and then they really regret it. So they're just sitting sucking on green milk.
So yeah, she can't pass the mantle, so it's still empty.
Yeah. So she's the closest thing they have to a High Lord, or kind of Terran representation about kind of how her sisters are used, or how the Ordos are used. But she's not there right now. So I guess the Inquisition and the and the Ecclesiarchy are going to do that. And then under that, like I said, then we have our kind of our chapter
Pyrus.
master level positions.
That'd be so. There's two, I guess, like two homeworlds, and then there's smaller outposts. So we have Ophelia 7.
Yep.
And then what was the other one again? The Sanctorum, or what was Dave? I think you mentioned it.
Well, Abbess Sanctorum was the name of the. It's the position of the Abbess.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
It's also where Doctor Strange lives.
Okay, so I had written Coven Sanctorum,
Correct.
but I'm wrong. What's that?
The Sanctum Sanctorum. Under her, technically, you have a prioress, and the prioress is the overall leader of a single convent of her order. So that's your chapter master.
Okay.
So
and then you have your captains or your canonesses.
Yes, kind of the captain level there.
And then it gets like super confusing.
Yeah, then it gets crazy.
There is many canons. So a canoness is both a captain, a lieutenant.
Oh, that's right. They had like 4 or 5 different canonesses, right?
Yeah. So you have.
Are you looking at it right now, Dave?
I've got it in my notes here. Right. So the canoness superior, the canoness preceptor, and the canoness commander, all of which
My favorite thing in this line that I'm reading right now is the canoness commander is in command of a commandery.
I think I read that too. And like somebody had made some comment about that's a whole lot of commandering.
I too watched that YouTube.
Who's on top there? I don't know. It's just these three all sound the same. It's just like
Well, and then it goes to a Palatine who's the command rank below the canonist. But now all I imagine is that movie Office Space, where they're talking about TPS report, and she has like 4 bosses, and she doesn't quite know what each of them do.
The Bobs.
Hey, we're gonna need you to fill out that TPS.
So we're gonna need you to go and pray this Saturday.
I'm trying to cleanse the heretics right here. It's just doing my job. So yeah.
She has like Upper Prioress written all over. And then the Sister Superiors. They're just the squad sergeants, pretty much.
Oh, what is it? There's like Seraphim are in there somewhere, and then, but it's not like part of the hierarchy, right?
Yeah,
but it kind of is.
The ranks.
I guess it's kind of like Terminators, where they're above your Space Marine sergeant, but not in like a chain of command kind of thing.
Yeah. But they are very militarized and organized.
So I think you're getting confused with ranks, because the Seraphim aren't actually a rank so much as they are a type of troop. The Seraphim are their...
No, it's a rank.
It's a rank, yeah. But it's not part of the chain, I think, is like what I'm trying to say is like, like a Sister Superior wouldn't like answer to a Seraphim, but a Seraphim is still over, like ranked higher than a... I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the way it was described.
There's a shit. It's essentially...
And then I think like a Dominic... No, there was another one. A Celestine?
A Dominion is the one with special weapons, like all the flamers.
Because I think that one was like... That's held to a higher level, too.
Troop choice, because the Seraphim is actually an
assault
marine.
It is, but it's like I think it's like the equivalent.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I think like if you think of like
2018 Dave.
But I think if you think of it like a Terminator, like a Terminator is
assume my battle roll.
But like a Terminator is like
Did you just assume my force org? Sorry, keep trying to say.
But I think like a Terminator is it's a troop choice, but it's not part of the like command structure, but still it's above like a veteran sergeant. Like the first company is like higher than that, but it's not something that they answer to. So I think like a Seraphim is like a troop choice or like a infantry choice, but it's also a higher status.
They start as battle sisters and then they move on to be retributators,
and it's probably why you get like extra faith points because of them too, because they're a faith point generating unit, whereas like a battle sister isn't.
I don't know what is that, faith points?
Yeah.
Oh man, it sounds like
one of us has a Sisters of Battle army.
Yeah. It's a pyramid marketing scheme. You get more faith points, really you can order more makeup.
But I mean, on the field, I mean, army wise, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it was because so many reset the clock jokes, so much butt hurt from that GW video when they had the plastic Sisters of Battle clock. But looking at it, I mean, even with all of the different ranks, all of the different things, it's not really a full army there.
No.
I mean, there are plenty of people that would disagree with you.
Oh, absolutely. And controversy creates great downloads.
It really does.
But like looking at it, you have, and like my issue as well, every kind of different GW army now has a really good and different aesthetic.
Yeah.
So like our vanilla Space Marine Codex is going to play differently than Blood Angels, which plays differently than Dark Angels.
I think you're saying it wrong. I think you mean better.
Which plays differently than Astra Militarum, which plays differently than Tau. But the whole idea is everyone has a very different flavor to it.
Yeah.
If I take vanilla Space Marines and then I go to Sisters of Battle, there's a lot of kind of direct comparisons that can be made.
Okay.
And, they have slightly worse ballistic skill. Yeah, they have more access to flamers. But
lower toughness, lower strength.
Yeah.
Actually, ballistic skill depends on the unit. Like it's the same, but
sure. But
right,
like if you're making an army, if I can look at that and be like, oh, so that's just like an assault marine, just like a devastator squad, just like a thing like that.
Okay.
There's nothing really that makes it unique apart from the fact that it's women. It's a bunch of women, and the faith points, right?
Yeah. The faith points can be interesting. Yeah.
But you like,
so they got some tricks
aesthetically.
Yeah.
When you're trying to make this a unique army that plays very differently, I think it's a struggle with what you have right now. Or Ted.
No, I mean I'm just trying to figure that out.
I feel like they have. I mean, it's similar in like appearance. Like if you could line up X Troop Choice of Space Marines next to X Troop Choice of Sisters of Battle. And yes, you are correct. They're similar, but there are a few different things that are only accessible to Sisters of Battle. Like, and I'm going to say it for the third time because I think it's fucking sexy looking, is the Penitent engine, which is just a big walker dude with somebody is like strapped to it.
But,
and it's also got flamers for hands.
But
and
here's my
buzzsaws.
pushback
So,
to that.
like,
Is that a Sisters of Battle unit, or is that an Ecclesiarch unit? Or like an Inquisition unit, right?
Damn it! I wish I knew the lore better on this because
here when I'm talking about it, when we're looking at, because people are asking for a Sisters of Battle army, if they released a plastic Penitent or a Pentian engine tomorrow, would people be like, oh sweet, it's a Sisters of Battle unit?
I think they actually would.
I don't think it's a Sisters of Battle unit.
I don't think so.
I mean, they would say that because we have made that connection, but it's like technically not.
Right.
Like,
so like I said, when I talk about Sisters of Battle, I said I don't think there's enough there for a fully fledged army by their own. Now,
because you have, I think like in the Sisters of Battle, you have like the Canonist, you have the Hospitaller, the Dialogist, like you have like a lot of those little support HQ muffins, and then you break down, and then like you have the Seraphim. Then you have like Sisters, Celestials, or Celites, I forgot what they're called. Dominion, and I think the Retributors.
They balanced out.
But it's basically like it kind of reminds me of like the Grey Knight Army when they first brought that out. Like it was like how many different or when you go to Taco Bell and like order a burrito, it's like how would you like us to arrange these 3 ingredients? Like, I mean that's basically what it is. And then like you have like the one transport that can make 2 different transports, or like one transport kit that has like the transports and then you're right, like
a Rhino,
the Rhino Immolator thing, which is a Razorback,
which is a Razorback with like I said,
with a massive flamer.
I think one of the reasons they haven't come back as a force is it's a really delicate, and to me this is more interesting than the lore. So I'm sorry I kind of moved past this here a little bit, and we can circle on back.
The lore was dumb.
I think we were pretty much there.
Yeah, but like for me, Games Workshop's in a position where there's this hotly wanted item, and people really do want Sisters to come in kind of a more affordable and the better kits and all of this kind of stuff. And like I said, they really want it to come back, and I think GW wants it to come back too. But how do they do it, and do it in a way that brings it justice? Because if you just brought back, like here, we're all old. Remember,
that's true.
Remember 2nd edition Necrons when they were released?
Yeah. Oh God.
It was Necron Warriors. That was it. Because I got one free with White Dwarf, and that was
the guys in the beach chairs.
And those guys came later, but for the first release of them, was just
the beach chairs.
It was just Necron Warriors, and I think maybe Scarabs.
I think so.
But that was it. And like I said, for me, like when that came out, one of my buddies was like super into it, so he got a bunch of them. But I'm like, that's not an army. That's a couple units. And like I said,
but it was a couple overpowered units back then.
For sure. But then when you look at the change to Necrons when they introduced essentially Egyptian space robots, then it became a kind of fully fleshed army, like thematically and on the table and in appearance. And everything kind of really combined to like, wow, Necrons are like super interesting now. Like we knew they were sleeping. We knew they were waiting for stuff. There was kind of hints at it before, but they really went full tilt into their space Egyptian robots.
And I think it's this last iteration because they came out with the plastics, and it's still like even at that like stage, like it felt like it was a little bit lacking. Like you had like your one like a troop unit, you had like your I think like 2 fast attack units, the destroyers and the scarabs. Like you had like the monolith and like the heavy destroyer and the Satan, and like it definitely felt like it was lean. I mean, of course, like you look over the Space Marines who has like twice as big of the codex as anybody else.
Yeah, but it's been around forever. So.
But I think like it's taken a while to really like develop that. And I think like with Sisters it's going to be the same thing where it's like, all right, you got the Seraphim, you got the basic Sisters in the different flavors, and then like the HQ, and like what do you do?
And I think the way you do it is you don't bring back Sisters as just a Sisters army. You got to go.
Which is what they did before.
Ordo Hereticus. And like through my research of this, if you release Codex Ordo Hereticus, and you have Sisters units in there, you have Inquisition units in there, you have Ecclesiarchy units in there.
So kind of like what they did with the Witch Hunters.
With Witch Hunters. Like that worked, and a lot of people were unhappy that it kind of got rolled in together. But GW's strategy for armies has always been what makes this different, what makes this interesting to play. And faith points, and while faith is good, it's really hard to kind of put that in balance. And like in a way
I've been
where
struggling with that. Like it seems like it's gone through different iterations.
In a way where it's not just a buff to like a guardsman in power armor.
Yeah.
Right. You know, how do you make it interesting? Like, how do you add stuff? And now with 8th edition, with like mortal wounds all over the place and things you can do, like there's things you can do, but really making army wide buffs is super tough. Like, I would love to see an Order Hereticus codex where you say at the beginning of your battle you get bonuses, or there's a stratagem where you get bonuses against things with keyword Imperium. Do you know how interesting that would be to buy an Imperial army or an Imperium army where you get bonuses for fighting Imperium?
And you can still ally with Imperium.
And you can still ally with Imperium.
That would be interesting. See, I kind of, and I think it is interesting. But sorry, I thought you were tailing off there.
Go.
Yeah. But I think like that was the same inclination that you, or the same feeling you had, where it was like this isn't a complete concept by itself, is kind of like the same impression that I got with like A Grey Knights, and then like B like the Custodes. Yeah, and like even now the Custodes seem a little like thin. Like they have like, you know, like how many variations of the guy holding a banner do you really have? Like, and I think like, you know,
3 actually is the answer.
Apparently,
and you want all 3.
But I think like that one, and even now like it feels like it's just like really heavy on like a couple different units. And I mean it's working. I think like, you know, they'll probably flesh it out a little bit more, but so I mean I could see both sides of that, where I think you definitely could, like, even as it stands, you could do a Sisters army. People do it. But yeah, I also didn't foresee like the bikes and stuff, like the bikes and the Terminators and like the things that they brought in for the Custodes either. Like, whoa, well, like you brought this in, cool.
Didn't
they had it in Forge World, yeah. But.
Yeah, well, but I mean, they brought it into 30K and it worked. So, you know, they translated it over into 40K in sexier versions.
Well, sorry, you also go back to 6th edition when the first Imperial Knight Codex was released. And I spent
that did not feel like a codex.
I spent $45 or whatever a codex was back then.
Yeah,
and it was 2 units
worth.
And I'm like, I bought it. There's a part of me I already probably knew, but I'm like, well, I want to run Imperial Knight, so here it is. And like, if you now
I lost the White Dwarf.
if you go and if you go like, hey, we're releasing Codex Sisters of Battle, here's 4 units and 2 HQs. People are going to go goddamn, especially now after seeing Custodes come out with jet bikes and Terminators and all this other stuff. There's gonna be either, if you're doing pure Sisters, there's gonna be like lore tweaks all over the goddamn place to explain how they get these floating floating non-prayer powered land speeder transports.
See, I would really like to see them revisit the Sisters army. I'm never going to play it, but I'd like to see them revisit it and flesh it out into a full-on force. Well, you know, where you have that sort of stuff, where you have like a more troop choices and other than just, hey, we've also got a Land Raider now that has a sister symbol on the side instead of, you know, just rhinos. But
and considering like where they're coming from, like they're coming from a point where like everything is, well, they have that one fine cast model and like a shit ton of metal. You know, they have I guess they have like the one tank that's plastic, but they have to start from scratch. Like they have no choice. Like they can't borrow anything except for that one rhino. Like, so they are gonna have to start from like the square one, which I guess is good. You know, when you can't steal from anything, you get really creative.
And, you know, GW's main goal is to make money at selling models, because that's what they are. They're a model company that has decided to let us have rules for their stuff. You know, that's where they make their money. It's not on anything else. So even though people have been clamoring for Sisters of Battle, plastic Sisters, the cost to GW in order to revamp an entire line and basically just start over, which is what they'd have to do. Like, yeah, I mean, unless they can dig out the mold for, you know, the metal one, which isn't going to work to make plastics.
Yeah.
Do we really want to go inside baseball right here?
Oh shit, girl, bring it.
It's not the cost. It's not the cost to make the models. It's not the fact that they don't know demand is there. It's production capacity. And if you look at GW right now, where you have Age of Sigmar, where we now have a beautiful new range of Snake Ladies, and you look at 40K and we have Demon Primarchs, regular Primarchs, Custodes, all of these models that are selling like hotcakes. Their sales are through the goddamn roof right now. And at this time last year, I'm a nerd. I read their annual reports. They were almost at production capacity last year.
Yeah.
Where do you fit an entire new plastic range in that production capacity. And they've tried outsourcing their stuff to China before. They tried. I think they outsourced some of the book printing to China.
Oh,
but guess what happens when they do that?
You get tiny little Asian people in the middle of a 30K codex.
No, not just that. What you get, so like the Void Shield generator, the original release, the limited release run.
Okay.
And some of the scenery pieces that were limited release, they were made in China. They were not made in the UK.
Was it the wall of mortar stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was the plastic. It was if you look at it, it was a different plastic.
They are really cheap feeling.
Yeah.
So the plasma obliterator, different kind of plastic. And so like I said,
God, those are going for like $260 right now on eBay.
I sold one for like 200. I wish I held on to it.
I still got mine. I'm debating whether or not to put it together or sell it.
Put it together, then sell it.
Okay.
But one thing GW has prided itself in now is like they've drawn everything back so they can control that quality and stuff that comes in. Because the amount of gaps and shit in that plasma obliterator, which by the way, miserable model to build.
So I should sell it.
Yeah, you should sell it. They can control that quality. Also, when they started outsourcing models and molding to other countries, guess who started getting really high quality recasts?
Oh,
because guess where most of the recasts are coming from?
Is it China?
China. So when they're sending stuff,
what do I win?
Then a recast model from
sweet
from France. But so
less sweet.
When they stop being able to control that, because although they're the biggest name in miniature wargaming, they can't afford to send a guy to China every now and then to make sure security in their factory is a-okay.
Or a GW guy with a whip and like a
or like a GW guy to be like, stop making Nikes. No. But like there's like I said, there's that issue of capacity. And then inventory management of, okay, well, we'll just make a bunch of this and then switch the machines over to that. Where the hell are you going to store all this? And then what if you do that and then people start buying this tank?
What if you open a whole new place that you call a cafe in Texas and you can store stuff there instead?
Do you know how big 4,000 square feet is? Because I did the research. It's a 4,000 square foot gaming and cafe.
Oh, wow, dude. That's twice as big as my house almost.
Yeah.
It's
not
actually
a lot of
not
space.
a lot. 4,000 square feet is not very big.
Your average Walmart's 100,000 square feet. And that's a small
Christ.
one. So like 4% the size of a Walmart. I'm sorry, Asda for our UK listeners.
So basically, in order for them to make new plastic sisters, they would have to
expand capacity, I would imagine.
Well, because how often do you go? I don't know if you go on the site, but I'm continuously going on the site and looking at Age of Sigmar models or 40K models, and to buy or to have our local retailer order for me because I'm too lazy to actually have GW ship it to me, and it costs less if I do it this way.
This is a lot of words.
A lot of words.
But
moving on.
How often do you see stuff like out of stock temporarily? And to me, that's just baffling. Yeah,
often
it's crazy.
It's crazy often because they're like, shit. Okay, Predators. Okay, go make Predators now, and then they go make Predators. Like, I want to buy some Spirit Host for Age of Sigmar. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, let's stop making Predators. Let's go make Spirit Host now. Yeah. And like I said, it's really tough to manage, and especially like. It's fantastic that the games are being updated so often and we're getting so many 40K FAQs. But like if they're like, okay, Predators are selling really well, let's switch it to Predators. And okay, Predators are kind of broken. Like, okay, let's FAQ Predators. And they're like, why is no one buying Predators anymore? Why are
you broke them?
So like I said, it's great that they're updating the rules, but like I said, I think they're still finding themselves and where those good production levels are.
Right.
And I think it's tough to introduce an entire new range when that's happening.
So I think what I'm hearing from you, John, is that you think that GW should just retcon Sisters of Battle completely out of existence.
Absolutely. Okay. No, I think they should
so that they can make more Spirit Hosts.
I think
all for John.
Yeah, all for me. No, I think Inquisition should be rolled into one book with Sister. I think Witch Hunter should come back pretty much.
That would be interesting. I would love to see. I just on a personal level, like with all the books that we've been reading about like Inquisitors and like that would be a blast. Like if they could make that an interesting and because I think like the Inquisitors, the reason we're attracted to Inquisitors is the personality and like the individuality, and like everybody wants to have their own individual Inquisitor. Like last time I did it, it was like, they basically made like 2 different Inquisitors and then swapped heads on like them to make 4. But so it'd be neat if they could come up with like some way of like making it super personable.
Yeah. So like I said, that's how I would solve that. But
yeah,
unless you want to pay me to move back to my home country, and
nobody wants to do that.
Do the green card process.
Dave just sent me a picture of a flying penis.
Oh, that's a rocket ship.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I see Sisters coming back, but just now it's a really tough time because you have to do it right. You absolutely have to.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same.
They could do it wrong and it would sell well. I think like with enough people, like they're fervent about it.
But if they do it wrong, they're never going to hear the end of it.
Let's see. So you've got Sisters of Silence. They could work off of that in order to.
Oh, you mean the plastic thing they made for $30K?
Right. That's what I'm saying. The Sisters of Silence. But they also have 40K rules.
Sure.
They could work off of that. So
you mean like the scene gores they made for Age of Sigmar, which also have 40K rules?
What is that?
Oh, I'm just saying, like you make things for other game systems.
Well, no, I mean, actually.
Well, I mean, that's really what Custodes started off as anyway.
Yeah,
Granted,
30K.
like the Sisters were kind of like shoved to the side where people like the.
Come on, let's be honest.
The models were kind of
terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the rules are terrible. The models, I actually think the models were kind of nice looking, but
they were nice quality.
And 30K, they're really good.
Yeah.
I have a really creepy worm tank that I really want, but I have no
Dude,
reason
that
to
thing is
own.
Ill.
But I have no reason to own it.
The
but I
blimp
want it.
thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that thing's dope.
Yeah, but it honestly, it looks like it should have like mining bits at the front.
It looks like
they got the mole mortar coming out too soon.
It looks like the brain bug
ground.
from Starship Troopers.
No. So anyway, there's supposed to be like a Forged book coming out soon. So I think we're gonna be seeing those guys, and I don't know, maybe we'll see it.
Maybe we'll see more. But it's
cool.
It's a tough situation, and I'm sorry, kind of I direct the conversation more towards like Howard Stone, because like I said, I still think it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
But it's
for sure.
Like I also heard they couldn't do Plastic Sisters because getting the hair to not look shitty.
Were you saying that?
Super hard. And if you look at Celestine and the Gemini, it's the hair is
terrible,
2 or 3 parts.
Terrible.
But
hair.
I think they've really mastered that.
But
like
I said,
the CAD.
yeah, because if
so
you
now I think they could do it.
Yeah, like
you look at
they're
Necromunda Eschers, those look.
Yeah.
their tooling and their ability to design models now, because like I said, it's been, I mean, it's not been a super long time in like company history, but like moving from like green stuff sculpting and then kind of molding from there to CAD programs.
Yeah.
It's been tough. And like I said, their first big CAD was like the Imperial Knight, right? Their first big vehicle, like multi-part plastic thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, and then if you look at the progression since then, where we've gone from Imperial Knight, because before, all of the massive stuff, if you noticed, was Forge World. And that was because it's resin, so they can still do it that classic way of green stuff and plastic.
Make sure it all looks right instead of like the old days where everything comes out like looking like a blob because like they didn't quite get the mold right.
Right. And then now if you look at the progression of the plastic kits, where we've gone from like, your basic 3-part Space Marine from 2nd edition to Imperial Knights, to something as large as Archeon, which I think is currently like the largest plastic model they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one is Archeon?
The Age of Sigmar, the Chaos guy with like the 3-headed dragon.
Right. Okay.
To something like Nagash, who is a giant plastic model floating on plastic ghosts with little books swirling around him, where everything is so goddamn intricate. Like I said, we really see that progression in the ability, and then we see the first Plastic Sisters battle in the Gemini and Celestine, where they got the hair down. Yeah, they figured that out. But then if you look at it, that head is a 2-part head, 3-part head.
I haven't put one together yet.
It's a multi-part headpiece. So then you translate that about, okay, here's a squad of 10 of them. Oh, by the way, when you make the head, it's 2 or 3 pieces.
They'll do it.
Well, that was like, I mean, putting together was Escher for Necromunda, and even the Goliath, like that was like, oh god, what was it? They had head, face, and like hair or something like that. And then one guy had a fucking cigar.
Right.
That was obnoxious if you had to put the cigar together.
Well, for like a skirmish game when you're expected to make
that's
10.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
cigar,
I was excited about it.
That's
But then if you're making like a thing where your sister battles like 10
60
points,
or
12
whatever.
points, and you got to field 60 of them, I'm going to shoot I want to shoot myself after 18 Sparrow Host. Never mind.
I'd do it. I would still do it.
Yeah, I mean, but you and I don't have boners for Sisters of Battle. It's kind of like we got what we got. Ted, on the other hand, would be slaving away all night long putting them together. And
ooh, I could carve the hair and like change it to where it looks like it's a 1990s like the claw hairdo. Just kidding.
So I see it coming in about. I see it coming about 3-4 years, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
So you are thinking that 9th edition is going to be when Plastic Sisters come back.
It's sweet that you think it'll only be 9th by then.
Yeah.
But mainly it's because I think we've seen positive financial growth from GW as a company this year. I think we see a couple more years of positive financial growth, which we'll see if they continue in this direction, and they upgrade their facilities, and then they're able to go there. Soothsayers. Listen to this in 4 years and tell me I'm right.
Yeah. And they're also going to drop the Plastic Thunderhawk at the same time.
Yeah.
And
but literally, they're just going to drop it.
That's right.
Like the file, the
we
computer,
broke the mold.
The computer that the file's on. Plastic Thunderhawk drops. Oh, did anyone save that? No. You're like, sorry, Hedge Blend. 4 years of work.
Yeah, just call Tom Walton. He'll be fine.
Super happy. But yeah, all right. Is there anything you want to add about Sisters there, Ted?
Nah, I'm good.
Like I know, like you have a sizable Sisters army.
Yeah, I'm actually like going back and
don't downplay it. I mean,
well, I was just saying,
sizable.
like I don't play it really, but I think like after going through this, I'm definitely excited again about it.
Yeah,
and, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some things I have to like go and like pick up. Like I never really liked the what was the sorry, I've been sleeping lately. Puppy, the executioner, the rocket truck.
You mean the organ gun?
Yeah, I don't like that model. But then like the old Forge models were really cool. Like it just looked more militaristic. So I get to still modify some things.
Grab a whirlwind and put a fleur de lis on.
Good. Yeah, but no, I'm excited. Like I like all these little fringe things. Like I'm enjoying like the Custodes. Like now like all the little fringe elements of the humans are kind of dope. But anywho,
Imperial allies activate. Form of army.
Imperial soup. Yeah, tasty.
Anything you want out of there?
I'm good.
Cool.
I don't need to see Plastic Sisters. I'd rather see Plastic Squats first, and I know that'll never happen. So.
I think it's called Demurg.
That's doesn't count.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
we're gonna take a quick fake break. We'll be right back and wrap this bad boy up.
Man, ladies kept checking their drinks. Thanks, Bill Cosby.
Hey, buddy, have you tried chocolate? It's a natural aphrodisiac that doesn't trigger any of the FBI's chemical tests.
Wow. Thanks, guy.
Where are you going?
To the grocery store.
Chocolate for that special lady that doesn't know she's special. Yet.
And we're back.
Yay!
I was gonna we're talking about doing like an exquisite corpse again, which we'll probably do again in the future.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
But man, it's not even that we forgot about it. It's like I waffled on for an hour because like I missed one episode. So obviously I have
to get the John time in.
Steamroll through this.
Nice.
And kind of get as much as possible in.
Okay.
The Sisters I think took a nice turn. Like I think a lot of us weren't like the history's good and all, but then like, it's like there's a lot of ranks with the same name, and but then like I said, I think just generally the where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, which is San Diego, which
on the beach of where
which
Thanks,
was
Abbas,
way more interesting.
Abbas Sanctorum has stolen the Mona Lisa. Behind where she's hiding.
There's that heist story of yours.
Yeah,
you got your Ocean's 40,000.
I need you Ted to call your canoness in your sister's battle, Carmen Sandiego.
Okay.
And model a large red hat.
What's it?
I closed down my notes, but what was her name?
Which one?
The missing Abbas.
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm going to look.
Yeah.
Keep going, though.
Yeah, Twitter later.
Oh, by the way, that
Keep
book
going.
that we were asking about, where Gauge more than likely came out of, was circa 2008.
Oh.
So, yeah, relatively recent, it would seem. I thought the Age of Apostates went back earlier. Maybe it did.
Maybe it's like because they do what they did with the codexes, where like codexes you have like this little one paragraph.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Like like Enid was like a one paragraph thing in like a second edition Elder Codex, and now it's like this whole other army. So it's probably mentioned before, and like the Beast was like a one paragraph thing in an Orc Codex for years.
Although they did mention that was the Codex Assassins 3rd edition. I think that's where we first saw it. I can remember that in the episode you were saying that you remembered his name or something. like that.
Yeah.
So that was 1999 or 2000. So that's.
I was a sprightly young man
with ambition and hope and dreams.
With dreams, and now it all died.
They did Sister Sabrina.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm going to need you to model.
Sister Sabrina.
I need you
Sabrina.
to model a leader.
Okay.
That's just her name.
Sabrina the
That's all it is.
Teenage Witch.
The
Sister.
No, where? So I'm going to need
Sabrina
a
the Teenage Witch Hunter.
Nice.
I need you to model Sabrina the Teenage Witch Hunter.
And also, I'm going to need you to model Sabrina San Diego.
I mean, generally, what this comes down to is me and Dave
there's
think
more shit for
Ted
Ted to do.
has like all the free time.
All of it.
And he has literally no other
You're
things to
unemployed.
do.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
and going to school full time and a single dad.
None of those things are real.
No, it's
No,
fake
it's
news.
fake news.
Fake news. It's all this is all stuff you hear online. It's never true.
Yeah.
For that, I was like, this is being episode 70 of Mob Rules.
Yay!
All fake news you've heard online.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. We'll see
Plastic
you later.
Sisters are coming in 2017.
That was last year, Dick.
Oh.
They came and went. This episode of Mob Rules has been brought to you by Mob Rules Media. Please join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation at facebook.com/MobRulesAK. You can also email us at themob@tophat-arts.com. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you in 2 weeks.